the United Nations, making predictions that by 2050, we will be 9.7 billion people. If all these people get educated, get technologically empowered, 9.7 billion people or nearly 10 billion people on this planet is for sure going to be a disaster. Yes. We can make arrangements and arrangements, we can improve the arrangements, we can make more energy-saving machines, we can recycle the shit.
Step aside, skim milk. You're done, almond milk. There might be a new milk coming to town and it's about to crawl right into the dairy aisle at the supermarket. Cockroach milk. Scientists are saying cockroach milk could be one of the most nutritious things you can drink.
I am not a bigot. I am not a science denier. Cockroach milk is so much more sustainable and nutritious than real milk. I am a good global citizen who gets his recommended daily dosage of vitamin TV. The planet is dying because I exist. The good grown-ups on the TV screen are trying to help us solve this #climate crisis by helping us sterilize ourselves and eat sustainable nutrient-fortified vegan kibble so our sick, sad, dying mommy Earth can feel all better. I'm going to ask my wife's boyfriend if it is socially acceptable to consume cockroach milk as an ethical vegan and animal rights activist.
Discovered cockroach milk has 4 times as much protein as cow's milk. 4 times as much.
Yes. We can do all this, no matter what we create, no matter how much we strive, whatever we build, everything is going to be insufficient because the planet is going to be insufficient. I was in a conference and I said, see, unless you reduce the human footprint on the planet, there is no solution for anything. Then they asked me a brilliant question, how do you reduce the human footprint? I said, you have to reduce the number of feet. That's the only way. I'm not saying children are bad, they're wonderful, but it's just too many. We as human beings, we are wonderful, but we are too many. We are so many that the insect population is going down. No, it's not a joke, it's very threatening. If the insect population disappears, the planet will be destroyed. Yes, the worms disappear, the planet will be destroyed. If you and me disappear, planet will flourish. Our life expectancy has improved. This means we have taken death into our hands. When we take death into our hands, it is our business to take birth also into our hands, isn't it?
I feel so empowered on my vegan climate activist hero's journey. We are all one. I am a highly evolved god who evolved from cosmic pond scum. We are all God. I am you and you are me. We're a happy family that needs to save its dying mommy from our toxic exhalations by taking #climate action now with the more evolved good grown-ups at governments, banks, and global corporations to help educate us how to get rid of ourselves and all the toxic extra human baby feet to decrease our atrocious carbon footprints and save the planet and evolution from ourselves because we are all one.
We're standing here, for this is an emergency. We're standing here for all that we hold dear. We're standing here for beauty and diversity. And we're standing in the love that binds us all. And we demand our government must tell the truth.
Climate change tops the environmental agenda at present. We all know that every additional person will need to use some carbon energy, if only for firewood for cooking, and will therefore create more carbon dioxide. Similarly, we can all see that every extra person is or will an extra victim of climate change. I mean, no one who privately disagrees that population growth is a problem. No one, except flat earthers, can deny that that planet is finite. We can all see it in that beautiful picture from our Earth, taken from the Apollo mission. Every one of these global problems, social as well as environmental, becomes more difficult and ultimately impossible to solve with ever more people. Thank you.
I am so glad the good grown-ups like David Attenborough and Prince Philip, friend of philanthropist Jimmy Savile, and the father of Prince Andrew, close friend of champion of science and philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein, are helping find solutions to all the extra people who need to stop existing. The hashtag climate crisis make me so sad. The totally real death threats from the climate are so scary, and I need the good government grown-ups to fix it and give 16-year-old human shield Greta her future back.
He promoted this on television, and he went around all the agricultural shows, and he had it was a one-man thing, and it had a tremendous effect. It reduced it from 3% to 1%. But one of the things he said to the farmers, he said, look, you don't need all these children, it's ridiculous. You've got to feed them all, clothe them all, educate them all, and look after their health. So have a few, and then if you want to go on entertaining yourself, have a vasectomy. Oh, yes. Well, how do I do that? Well, I'll organize it for you. We'll have buses running into Bangkok on the King's birthday, very auspicious day. And you will go into, and he took over a whole lot of school halls and all that sort of thing. And then he showed me a photograph of all these beds and everything. And people went in, and I said, but how did they take it? Well, he said they didn't like being seen to have the operation. Oh, I said, really, how do you do that? I had visions of, putting up. Oh, he said, it's quite simple, I blindfolded them.
I am so glad that Jimmy Savile's royal friend, Prince Philip, is helping all the extra people to not exist anymore.
What vegan birth control method would you recommend?
Vasectomy.
Hell yeah, baby! You heard me, you heard me, you heard him!
Well, get on board. Come on.
Yes,
what do you
I love
mean?
this guy.
Why should the women have to take pills? No.
I feel so empowered by the vasectomy I got from Dr. Gregor. We must help governments and media educate more people on the benefits of not having families or property, not eating real meat or animal foods, and living in smart city coffin apartment cubbies.
Don't screw the planet! Don't screw the planet!
The Earth will be so happy and healthy if we eat sustainable, nutrient-fortified vegan smart kibble that the good grown-ups at the transnational banks and corporations share with us.
You see, Fred's kids are millennials. They've just surpassed baby boomers to become the largest generation in American history. And they've all been moving back to the cities. But there are only so many houses and cars that can fit in a city. And this is where the sharing economy comes in. We now have these powerful computers, smartphones, in our hands.
I love sharing and do not hate science. The good grown-up champions of science like Jeffrey Epstein and his friends Bill Gates and Prince Andrew know what's best for me and the planet. I can't wait for the nice, happy, healthy corporate global technocratic government to ration and share resources with us. I wish I could help poor 16-year-old human shield Greta Thunberg to find a carbon-neutral ride back to Europe from America so she can meddle in the elections over there and save the planet from the extra people causing the totally real and not made-up hashtag climate crisis.
That led Greta Thunberg to take to social media to call for help. She said, I've traveled around halfway around the world, but in the wrong way. And now she's looking for a way to cross back in the Atlantic by this COP25 summit now in Madrid.
We have tons of time to turn things around. Well, not tons, but enough. Assuming we all act now. Last month, we had an ant problem at my house. going to sound strange, but I felt somewhat in awe of their teamwork. In fact, fire ants are experts at teamwork. They're pretty tiny, right? But when faced with large challenges like crossing a river, hundreds or thousands of fire ants can work together to build structures out of their own bodies, like rafts. As a result, they can carry the entire colony across the river. Collectively, they do what is necessary to save the entire group. We too can work together.
Rejoice. I found a solution to Greta's transportation problem that will get her to Europe and help decrease our atrocious carbon footprint that's killing poor mommy Earth and stealing poor little Prince Philip, Greta, and Bill Gates' futures. We must use the extra people's surplus human bodies to make a giant raft that can bring this brave, 16-year-old human shield back to Europe so she can help the good grown-ups at the global banks and corporations create the happy, sustainable, totalitarian world government to fight the #climate crisis that is our fault because we exist. Nature provides the answers and the wisdom of children will guide us on our journey to sustainability on our renewable carbon-neutral giant human corpse raft.
The things humans fear most is that we will be powerful beyond our belief.
I am empowered beyond my belief to take #climate action against myself to save the planet from myself by drinking cockroach milk, eating vegan kibble, putting the pee-pee in the poo-poo, and sterilizing myself. I am not deceived. I am not being programmed to self-destruct by toxic weaponized pop culture. I'm going to ask my wife's boyfriend if this sustainable giant human corpse raft is vegan friendly.
How do you do that? I have visions of, putting up. Oh, we say it's quite simple. I blindfolded them.
What's up, bigots? Muted. Unmuted now. What's going on out there? Who's taking climate action with me today? How's everyone doing today? We've got a special show today. Got loads of people in the chat. It was a last minute decision to schedule this today. I was going to stream yesterday. Thought about doing it tomorrow, but I had everything ready. I set it up. So we're doing it. We're going for it today. We've got all sorts of news today. All sorts of news. What do you guys think about that intro? How you like that intro? You guys want to help poor little Prince Philip, good friend of Jeffrey Epstein's actually the father of BFF of Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew. Prince Philip, also really good friends with everybody's favorite philanthropist, Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile. You guys gonna help him stop the climate crisis? All these degenerates. All these degenerates pushing all this degenerate stuff constantly. But we're here to speak out against it. We're here to tell the truth. We're here to talk about how to actually live healthily. And today we're talking about big picture stuff. We're talking about the big agenda. We're talking about population control and how population control rhetoric is being openly pushed really, really hard right now. All right, we've seen, for several decades, we've seen a lot of this rhetoric, a lot of this population control rhetoric, and all of this comes out of the same groups, right? The Royal Society, the Club of Rome, the IPCC, the UN, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, all these big NGOs, these big foundations, all this big money is getting pumped into telling us that we're the problem with the world, that everything is our fault, the climate's changing, the climate's never supposed to change, and if it does, it's your fault. Right? What is the solution to the climate crisis? Well, now what's being proposed openly is population control, which is what this has always been about. 15 years ago, when I was telling my friends and family about this, they thought it was ridiculous. When I was sitting in the university getting lectured by these biology professors about Malthusianism, getting lectured about scarcity of resources and how climate change is destroying the world, I dared ask back in 2009 about the IPCC documents that were released in the event that was known as ClimateGate, right? Where it was proven that they were falsifying data, manipulating data. This was met with almost violent repression from a biology professor who said, anybody who doesn't believe in population control, anybody who doesn't believe that population control is going to be very necessary to save the world is a retard, right? You must be so stupid if you don't believe that man-made global warming is going to kill us all. Now, many years later, here it is, all out in the open, population control being discussed in mainstream, right? In the universities, these professors have been talking about this shit for a long time, but now they're pumping it out in mainstream. Technology and science section of, who was a CBC News, population is just one of many issues in the global discussion about climate change. Is population control the answer to fixing climate change? All right, because if we just get rid of all the people, there will be no change in the climate, right? So what I've been saying for years, this climate crisis rhetoric is genocidal propaganda. This is war rhetoric being levied not against another country, not against terrorism, not against drugs, like the war on drugs. This is war rhetoric against all of humanity. This is trying to mobilize us into a movement to take ourselves out, right? Through manipulating our behavior, through influencing our behavior. These people believe that they can create a utopia, right? Through behaviorism, through controlling the human organism, they believe that they're going to completely control all of biology. The revolution, the final revolution that Aldous Huxley wrote about, he said it was a total revolution. A total revolution that would involve control of all biology. So we're given all of this false nonsense, all these fears. We're gaslit into believing that it is our fault that the weather changes, that it's our fault that there's death and destruction, right? That the natural world is in this state where everything's eating itself. Oh, that's all our fault. If we weren't here, everything would just be totally perfect, we're told, which is obviously absolute nonsense, right? We don't believe that humans are bad. We don't believe that people are bad. We don't believe that people are destroying the planet. Right? We believe people are made in the image and likeness of God. Right? That's what me and my home, that's what our family believes. Right? We believe that man is made in the image and likeness of God. Right? We didn't evolve from cosmic pond scum. We didn't evolve from rocks that somehow became animate and were given life. Right? We were made in the image and likeness of God, and this is constantly under attack. Right? Our worldview, forming your worldview, is what this is all about. Right? Your worldview on what your place is, on where you come from, or where you're going. And we're being told that climate change is our fault. Oh, where'd that go? So I've got this post here on Instagram. We've got a few images here. We've got CBC News, population control. Is it the answer to fixing climate change? We've got The Lancet, knowing the carbon footprint of a child throughout its life, described in the play as 10,000 tons of carbon dioxide. Is it acceptable to have a child? Is it acceptable to have a child? And so we've gone from, maybe, the global warming is obviously a problem. We got to stop using electricity. We got to stop having the comforts of modern life. We've gone from that to, is it even okay to have kids? Is it even okay to have kids? And we've also gone to medical news today saying, will climate change increase suicide rates? Right? So as you're being guilt-tripped about climate change, you're being seeded with this idea that getting rid of people is going to be the greatest thing. You're being seeded with this idea that you don't have a future. Right? Greta, how dare you? You have stolen my future. You've stolen my future. Right? They program us with this idea that our future is going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. Paul Ehrlich was saying that there's going to be piles of corpses on top of each other, eating each other by the year 1984. Of course, this didn't happen. Of course, none of the other doomsday predictions that people have been making since the beginning of time have come to fruition. Right? All these false prophets telling us the world's going to end. They've been proved wrong time and time again. But they're telling us that getting rid of ourselves is going to be a good idea for the planet. Will climate change increase suicide rates? And every couple of months, they start throwing out some of this stuff. Oh, climate change is making people kill themselves. Oh, my goodness. Suicide rates are going up. And it's because of climate change. This is obvious propaganda, right? Very, very insidious, very, very deceptive, very evil propaganda, right? These people are telling us that it's a good idea to get rid of ourselves. They're telling us that it's terrible that we're alive. And they're seeding the idea that euthanasia might be a good idea, that assisted suicide will help with the climate crisis. This is bullshit, right? Total nonsense. All right, Seeking Truth in Christ, what's up, dude? Send it $5. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate the super chats here. You guys know that these do get demonetized. In fact, last week the Osho stream with Jay, one of many people's favorite streams that we've done so far, that Jay and I have done together so far, the Osho stream about crazy cults and vegan vegetarianism being used in some of these cults as a mind control tool. That was completely demonetized and also blocked. I actually had to remove this. Got blocked by Osho International, but it was demonetized by YouTube. But it got blocked by Osho International for using like 30 seconds of a clip. So I had to pull out the best clip in there, which is Osho talking about we need population controls to get rid of all the extra peoples. And if we only get rid of all the babies and have total birth control by the governments, can we stop the climate crisis? Give me more drugs and bitches, say Osho. Right, so that one got demonetized. The last one was almost every single stream I do, it gets the not suitable for advertisers thing. So again, really appreciate the super chats, guys. Seeking Truth in Christ says, hello, Tristan, what's going on? The government is against God, righteousness, and humanity. Even Satan masquerades himself as an angel of light. Right, thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. Cowitarian just sends $5 just because. Thanks a lot. Much appreciate that. If you grind the beavers into the water supplies like Osho did, we can get rid of all the peoples. All right, so the climate crisis, it's coming to a head. Oh my goodness, it's so bad. It's so bad. People are so bad. For many reporters covering climate, population remains the elephant in the room. New York Times, back in September 2019. So constant talk about climate change, seeding the ideas into us that we need government control of the population. So we talked about in the Club of Rome stream that I did with Jay. It's called Clubbing for the Climate. Clubbing for the Climate stream. That was a fun one. We talked all about the Club of Rome and how this long-term agenda of educating us to stop procreating in order to control resources is something that's out in the open. These people write policy papers on the need to do this. These people write policy papers on how are we going to get rid of all the naughty people. How are we going to get rid of all these people? They're constantly telling us that it's all our fault. And of course, climate is always changing. Of course, there are many reasons for climate to change. Of course, there is technology for weather modification that's been used extensively for several decades now, right? Especially intensely over the last 15 years. Anybody who lived in California has got eyes in their head, has seen what's been going on with the weather modification programs. As they're pushing this genocidal war rhetoric on us of the climate crisis, they're telling us we've got to get rid of ourselves. So there is a document, I linked to it on my Twitter, and this is a study. This was published in 1970, I believe, and I'm going to pull it up right now. Here we go. We're going to take a little look at this study right here. U.S. Population Growth and Family Planning. A review of the literature. This was published in October 1970. This is on JSTOR. If you use Sci-Hub, You can look at this document. Or if you just go to my Twitter, there will be a link, and it has the Sci-Hub, which actually unlocks. If you don't know about Sci-Hub, you can actually unlock a lot of studies, a lot of documents that you wouldn't otherwise have access to unless you're currently in one of the brainwashing universities, right? So when I was at the University of California, we used to have really good access to a lot of these databases. So it was so cool learning how to use resources like JSTOR, how to search through old newspaper articles, how to search through old academic research. Unfortunately, I don't have access to a lot of these databases anymore, but Sci-Hub does allow us to really to use some of these databases, which is awesome. So this was published in 1970. It's a population reduction policy paper about family planning, how to reduce the population. So very similar to the concepts that we also saw in the book Ecoscience. We talked about this book several times here. It's a big, thick tome. The latter part of the book has a lot of the more interesting stuff. This is written by a former White House science czar, John P. Holdren, and Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich is kind of like the Al Gore of the 60s and 70s. Paul Ehrlich's like the Al Gore of the 60s and 70s. He's like Chicken Little of the 60s and 70s, running around on TV telling everyone the world's going to end. Telling everybody population growth needs to be curtailed. We need to take drastic measures to get rid of the population. And so, of course, they're always talking about the UN estimates, right? The UN, major policy pusher of all this degeneracy. The UN consistently used to push this international agenda for population control, for resource consolidation, and the UN is an unelected supra-governmental organization that is funded by the big banks. The UN's building, the building that the UN sits on, was donated. The land was donated by Rockefeller, of course. So the Rockefeller Foundation, always at the forefront of pushing for the reduction of population. This policy paper was, I believe, done in response to the Rockefeller Population Council. Right, so it's talking all about how to reduce the population, how to eliminate unwanted births, and how to achieve what they call zero population growth. So let me zoom in here. All right, so this is what they say we should do. We need to develop national policies favoring family planning. What does family planning mean? Well, it means, infanticide. It means changing the way you view families. Right? It means not you planning your families. It means government, NGOs, people like Bill Gates and the Rockefeller Population Council planning your families. So they want improved contraception. They want reduction of the birth rate. And they've achieved this in many places already. Right? Much of the West, much of the decadent West, is not even going to be able to replace its current population because this has been working. That's why you always see Bill Gates say, well, when you give education, if you educate women, they'll have less children. It'll decrease the population because you empower them with education. Well, it's because education, when they say education, they mean you're going to be in debt. You're going to be educated into a brainwashing system that's going to tell you that you are scum. You're just cosmic pond scum that evolved into big pink monkeys, and that you need to get rid of yourself and stop having babies in order to save the planet. Education means you get to be in the workplace, to be taxed, right? That you get to be in debt and taxed. Zero population growth is the ultimate goal because any growth rate, if continued, will eventually use up the earth. Oh my goodness, they're going to use up the earth. Whose earth? Whose earth is it? And it's just like all these vegan activists out there in the streets. Whose kids? Our kids. Whose earth? Our earth. Zero population growth. So family planning can reduce reproduction to the extent that unwanted births exceed wanted births. The elimination of unwanted births would still leave an extremely high rate of multiplication. Right, so this is why we see all these same organizations promoting starvation diets, veganism, because it is known to decrease fertility rates, right? Removing your main source of food, removing the nutrient-dense digestible animal foods from the diet equals lower population, equals less people able to conceive, equals everybody dependent on the plant-based kibble. On the plant-based kibble. All right, so all this comes from this Malthusian idea, this pseudo-scientific idea proposed by Malthus, who was a degenerate British elitist who believed that we need to get rid of all the nasty people because if we put fruit flies in a jar, eventually they'll die. Therefore, we need to limit the population. Legitimately, the science behind population reduction and the Malthusian ideal that's been promoted comes from fruit flies in a jar. Right? Absolutely unscientific nonsense. Right? But these people talk about the need to get rid of us. Right? And how are we going to do this? Well, we've got several proposals by guys like Dr. Berelson, who says we can have extensions of voluntary fertility control, institutionalization of maternal care services, legalization of abortion, promotion of voluntary sterilization. All right, so we had Prince Philip in the beginning talking about many of these same programs. Prince Philip applauding the programs like the programs that we're going to talk about today. The long-term social engineering programs to get us to stop having children, to stop having babies, to stop consuming the resources that these people want all for themselves. All right? This doesn't have anything to do with saving the planet. It has everything to do with population control and with control of resources. So the next point they say we need to look at is the establishment of involuntary fertility control. This means state-mandated sterilization campaigns, which have already happened in many places in the world. Right? Establishment of involuntary fertility control. Addition of temporary sterilants to the water supply. Child licenses and child certificates. Compulsory abortion of out-of-wedlock pregnancies. Compulsory sterilization of men with 3 or more children. These are what these people are proposing. They're fucking nutcases, if you haven't noticed. If you haven't already noticed, these are a bunch of degenerate nutters. All right, intensified educational campaigns. Ooh. Well, how is education going to keep us from having babies? Well, that's because they teach you family planning. They teach you to put the pee-pee in the poo-poo instead. They give you sex education, and they tell you all sorts of things that you can do that will destroy your health and will not result in childbirth. They tell you that having kids is too expensive, right? They say, oh, economically, it's just really bad to have kids. You're going to have to pay for those kids. You're going to have less time to hang out and watch TV all day and do nothing. Shit, you're going to have to spend all your money on these kids. And so they say, use of national satellite TV. That's a great idea. Some see government coercion the only answer to population control. Remember, this is policy paper. All right, these are social scientists who see themselves as gods, who want to and have implemented a lot of these programs already. Tax and welfare benefits and penalties. All right, so like we see now, they've written about in an Ecoscience, I don't know which page, I've got it marked, but I don't want to have to dig through it right now. In Ecoscience, Paul Ehrlich and John P. Holdren write about how in economic recessions and in depressions, perceived depressions, people have less kids. All right, so they use and they leverage economic fears to keep people from having babies. Incentive programs, providing direct payments for delaying pregnancy, for being sterilized, or for accepting contraception. Shifts in social and economic institutions. For example, increasing minimum age of marriage, promotion, or requirement of female participation in labor force, like we talked about earlier, right? Oh, if we just, Bill Gates, it's like if we just educate women and give them more opportunities. By give them more opportunities, he means give them debt. It means make them compete for jobs with men and break up families so that nobody is there to raise children, so that the state raises the children and educates the children and turns them into mushy, little, effeminate, childish automatons, right? This is what they want. This is what the state wants. It wants automatons. They want good little global citizens. Approaches via political channels and organization. Insist on population control as condition to foreign aid. Now, we see this with groups like USAID. We see this with the Bill Gates Foundation. We see this with a lot of the big foundations forcing this population control rhetoric. Augmented research efforts. Social research to discover means of achieving lower fertility. All right, we've talked about before, the Rand Corporation has done studies on declining populations and fertility. All these big military industrial think tanks are obsessed with this. It's biological research towards improved contraceptive technology, sex determination research. In evaluating each of the alternatives, Dr. Barrelson asked a series of questions. Is the scientific, medical, technological base available or likely? Will the government approve? Can the proposal be administered? Can the society afford the proposal? Remember, these are global policies. Is the proposal acceptable ethically, morally, philosophically? So you notice he doesn't mean like in an objective sense, like, oh, is this good? Is this right or wrong? He means, is this acceptable within the society that we want to implement it? And if not, we have to implement social engineering techniques in order to mold the psyche of the people to accept these ideas. And then the last question is, will it work? So this is what it's all about. Direct or indirect means of altering fertility behavior based on overall social needs. So they're influencing our decisions socially. They're making us perceive social problems with having children. And if you tell people that it's not socially acceptable to have kids, many people will buy into it. Many people will believe it. And that's what we see here. So I got another super chat. Hey, Odin's Eyeball, thanks a lot for the big fat super chat. Really appreciate it, dude. Odin's Eyeball, thank you for everything you do. What do you think of Paul Chek? Right on, man. All right, Paul Chek, 50-something years old, fantastic shape physically, pretty intelligent dude in many regards. As far as like movement, working out, and a lot of his health advice, he's right on point. His new age philosophy, right? His like wishy-washy new age philosophy, obviously I would critique that, you know. So philosophically, theologically, many disagreements, but on the physical stuff, Paul Chek got some really good stuff. I mean, the guy looks great for his age, performs fantastic, is a very effective coach. Paul Chek's book, How to Eat, Move, and I forget what it was. Maybe it was like Eat, Move, and Be Happy or something, I think was his book's name. I forget. But I read that book back in like 2012 or 13. Really liked it. Cool book. Good introduction to a lot of people. I'm not so sure what Paul Chek's been doing lately. I know he likes to, he definitely hangs out with a lot of these more new age type people. So yeah, you know, Paul Chek, got to get his shit together theologically. But yeah. All right, thanks a lot for the super chat, man. Again, really appreciate it. I think that was, what is that, Australian? You over there in Australia? Got some Aussies watching today. Much appreciated, man. Thanks to everybody for sending the super chats. Remember, these do get demonetized, and the super chats, they really do make it they really are useful, and they really are helpful, and they make it worth it to do these long streams, to prepare for these, and to come out here and talk about this stuff, right? So the demonetization, the censorship, and the deplatforming that we see on YouTube, who knows how long this channel will be allowed to be up here. We hope we don't get kicked off soon in the coming purge that we're going to see. YouTube just changed its terms of service, and it's getting kind of crazy out there. But thank you guys for supporting. Thank you to everybody who has supported also via PayPal. If you look in the description of the video, there's a link where you can donate via PayPal. You can become a partner, and you can help sponsor the work that we do here, which is demonetized, delisted, and hidden up in that algorithm. So thanks a lot, y'all. All right, so oh yeah, check out. I got my my awesome shirt today too, guys. Got my R.I.P. Epstein shirt. Dude, these are collector's items already. These shirts, these are selling for like $750 right now. Pretty crazy. Shit, I'm getting sweaty. I gotta open a window. Hold on. All right, guys. You guys got any more questions? Feel free to send them super chats, or if you got anywhere, any direction you want us to take this conversation, if you got anything to add, hit us up with them super chats, and I will read them as they come up, especially if they're relevant to the conversation at hand. So, direct and indirect means of altering fertility behavior based on overall social needs. Again, you can find this study called U.S. Population Growth and Family Planning, a review of the literature. You can find this. There's a link to it over on my Twitter account. Rolf Krauss says, $4.99, says, hey man, I feel like Game Changers being such a bust was a win for the good guys, right? Absolutely, dude. I mean, and the Game Changers, the lulls at the Game Changer and the nonsense of the Game Changers hasn't even been fully explored yet by like most people, right? It's like the honeymoon phase for these vegans. They think that the world is, laid out before their feet, that everyone's going to want to go vegan because of the game changers. And all this corniness with like Kai Green, shilling and whoring for the Beyond Burger, putting out a vegan ebook like a few days after he started his so-called plant-based diet. All this stuff just makes these vegans look really goofy. So I think Rogan's going to actually have Kresser on again, and Kresser's going to go on and talk about game changers. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I think it's absolutely a win. But I don't know, man. Stupidity knows no bounds, right? Like these vegans are pretty delusional. So they, I don't know. Who knows how they perceive it? But it doesn't really matter how they perceive it. What matters is what's true, right? And shit, I mean, there's so much money behind this agenda right now. There's so much money going into pushing the idea of planetary dietary guidelines. There's so much money being pushed into this that, I don't know, the game changers might just be a drop in the pond as far as the big money interests go. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's our job to keep discrediting this stuff, to speak out against this, and that's why we're out here doing what we're doing. All right, so you got Paul Ehrlich. You got the Department of Demography at Berkeley saying the principal cause of population growth in the United States is the reproduction behavior of the majority of Americans who, under present conditions, want families of more than 3 children and thereby generate a growth rate far in excess of that required for population stability. So the problem is we have to control the behavior of these damn Americans who keep having these damn babies that keep taking our damn resources. So how can we reduce reproduction? Garrett Hardin says. This was an editorial in Science magazine, I think. Either a magazine or a journal. Persuasion must be tried first. Tomorrow's mothers must be educated to seek careers other than multiple motherhood. Community nurseries are needed to free women of careers outside of the home. For careers outside of the home. Mild coercion may soon be accepted. For example, tax rewards for reproductive non-proliferation. Like how they use these terms, non-proliferation. What does that hearken to? All right, that's bringing up nuclear non-proliferation, right? The population bomb. As they're telling everybody, the bomb's going to kill you, right? The nukes are going to get you. The Ruskies have got the nukes and we're all going to die. They're telling you, you're also a bomb, right? They're making kids get under the seats in the schools, right? The kids are dropping underneath their seats in the schools, hiding from the atom bomb because the Ruskies are going to get us. The Russians are going to get us. Right? As they're telling you all about the bomb, all about the nukes, they tell you this generation is called the baby boomers. Right? They call the baby boomers the boomers. Why do they call them the baby boomers? Well, this is social engineering. This is a long-term social engineering campaign using language, the meaning of words being very important. Your interpretation of what words mean, very, very important in how you behave. And you can be controlled through language in many different ways. So they tell you the population bomb, the baby boomers. And then they use words like non-proliferation treaties when talking about the nukes with the Russians, right? We're going to sign a non-proliferation treaty with the Ruskies. And then they tell you, then they tell you we need non-proliferation of humans. Right, so they're associating all these terms, all these warfare terms. Isn't that weird? Isn't that funny? All right, Will Hester sends $5. Thanks a lot, dude. I've been listening to your talks with Jay Dyer. Are you Orthodox? And how long have you been Christian? Thanks for everything, man. Hey, thanks a lot for the $5. Really appreciate it. I was introduced to Orthodoxy, to Eastern Orthodoxy, from Jay Dyer as well. Jay actually has one of the best resources out there as far as introducing people to the ideas of Orthodoxy. It is something that myself, coming from as a person who had read the Bible, was I can't give you my whole life story in a little snippet here, but before being introduced to Orthodoxy, I was more kind of a Protestant, right? I live in a Catholic country. Obviously, the popism, the whole papal authority thing, this whole Vatican II, the Vatican pedo cult in general never really called to me, right? And then Protestantism always seemed kind of goofy too, right? I knew so many people in the kind of Protestant world who, it always bothered me, the idea that of sola scriptura, right? Of, well, it's just the Holy Spirit is going to reveal the truth to us through our heart if we just read the Bible, right? And that's all we need, right? You know, Christ did establish a church, and that church is the Orthodox Church, that you see in Eastern Orthodoxy, not the Roman Church, the Catholic Church. And this is something that that I've been studying for the last year, a little over a year now. And of course, I live in a Catholic country. There's only one group, one Orthodox group in this country. I haven't been able to connect with them yet. I'm trying to get a hold of this this Russian Orthodox Church, which is in the north of the country we live in. We live in Ecuador. So yeah, long answer, short question. Thank you very much for the question. And let's come back here. So how do we reduce reproduction? Garrett Hardin says, well, we need tax rewards for reproductive non-proliferation. Non-proliferation. Reproductive non-proliferation. But in the long run, a purely voluntary system selects for its own failure. Non-cooperators outbreed cooperators. If parenthood is a right, population control is impossible. So in these papers, these people, these so-called social scientists, people like Paul Ehrlich, people like John P. Holdren, who was Obama's White House science czar, these people are openly advocating for forced sterilization by governments, for population control by governments, for licensing breeders. Right? And of course, you know, the vegan world, they love these ideas, right? This whole anti-human cult of veganism, they love this shit. They love this nonsense. Right? So he says, if parenthood is a right, population control is impossible. Kingsley Davis says, with indirect measures, that is, measures that leave people free to make their own reproductive decisions, but which alter the conditions affecting those decisions, one hopes that compulsory measures will not become necessary. It can be argued that over-reproduction, that is, the bearing of more than 4 children, is a worse crime than most. It should be outlawed. One thinks of the possibility of raising the minimum age of marriage, of imposing stiff penalties for illegitimate pregnancy, of compulsory sterilization after a 5th birth. So this isn't just some, these aren't just some random kooks, right? These aren't just random kooks. This is what's been talked about for generations, now for decades. The Population Council, the Rockefeller Population Council. We've got Paul Ehrlich, John P. Holdren in Ecoscience. You've got genocidal maniac Bertrand Russell in the Scientific Outlook. All these degenerates from the Royal Society who push this ideology, this religion of evolution on us, also push the idea of needing to sterilize everybody. And speaking of sterilization, speaking of degeneracy, we've got one of the greatest sterile degenerates of the internet up in the chat right now. Big motherfucking Durian Ryder. Big Durian Ryder up in that chat. What's up, dude? How's it going, Durian Ryder? How's it going? How's your little 19-year-old sex toy? How's that little 19-year-old sex toy that you groomed before taking control of her? Speaking of sterility and degeneracy, so nice to see you there in the chat, Durian Ryder. Make yourself at home, but don't just keep peppering the chat with your name, dude. Every once in a while, throwing out a little comment, that's good. It's all good. But you and your little 19-year-old sex toy, right? That girl who you're old enough to be her father, you fucking degenerate predator. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're doing well. And I'm really glad that you're giving that nice girl a place to stay, right? And you're feeding her a nice degenerate population controlled diet. So good job, Durian Ryder. Keep it up in the chat, dude. Love seeing your name. Love seeing your fake teeth that rotted out because of your degenerate diet. And I just love knowing that you're out there discrediting the vegan movement for me. It's great. So keep it up, dude. All right. So Degrassi, or Dr. Gerassi, says when talking about these Orwellian proposals, which they even call in this policy paper, they say, we want Orwellian proposals. It is perfectly clear that the development of such a universal birth control agent is outside the realm of possibility in this century. Immunological approaches, though probably slightly more easily implemented in an Orwellian society than the addition of a sterilant to food or water, are still far away. Are still so far away that they do not merit serious consideration within the context of this article. So, talking about putting sterilants in the water, right? Sterilants in the food. Also, of course, we talked about sterilants in the food and how the big banks, the big corporations have developed GMO crops that actually create spermicides. Right? So this chapter from Seeds of Destruction, this is a good book by F. William Engdahl, Seeds of Destruction, very, very important book here. In this book, he talks about what they're talking about in this policy paper here, what Paul Ehrlich and John P. Holdren talk about in Ecoscience in the 1970s textbook. Right? This is a textbook. You can get this. It used to be really expensive. You might be able to find a copy cheap, used copy cheap, but you can find this online, and you could read it yourself. They openly talk about drugging your water, drugging you through food. And in the chapter called Terminators, Traitors, Spermicidal Corn, in the section called A Very Special Type of Corn, F. William Engdahl talks about what we've talked about here several times, and that's the genetic modification of food in order to sterilize people. The question then became, how did this prospect map onto the long-term strategy of the Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation, and major figures of the U.S. establishment for global population reduction? A possible answer was soon to be found. In San Diego, a small privately owned biotech company, EpiSite, held a press conference in September 2001 to make an announcement about its work. EpiSite reported that they had successfully created the ultimate GMO crop, contraceptive corn. They had taken antibodies from women with a rare condition known as immune infertility, isolated the genes that regulated the manufacture of those infertility antibodies, and using genetic engineering techniques, had inserted the genes into ordinary corn seeds used to produce corn plants. Quote, "We have a hothouse filled with corn plants that make anti-sperm antibodies," boasted EpiSite President Mitch Hine at the time of his dramatic announcement, which went largely uncommented by the world's major media. EpiSite had concluded a strategic joint research and licensing agreement with Dow Chemical Company. Dow Chemical, weapons manufacturer. Dow Chemical, one of the biggest GMO giants. Dow Chemical, which loves the idea of the plant-based future, right? Dow Chemical and Dow AgroScience is one of the three agribusiness genetic seed giants in the U.S. The purpose of that joint venture, they announced at the time, was to combine EpiSite's technological breakthroughs with Dow AgroScience's strength in genetic engineering of crops. EpiSite's product candidate antibodies were being transformed in corn. EpiSite and the Dow organizations had agreed to a 4-year program to investigate factors affecting expression, stability, and accumulation of antibodies in transgenic plants. So this is in 2001 that this was released, right? That this was announced. What was the date? September 2001. What a great month to announce this, right? So EpiSite had already signed a collaboration with Novartis Agriculture Discovery Institute, which is Syngenta, another one of the GMO giants, another one of these plant-based food producers. Syngenta, massive transnational corporations, and also a member of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is pushing the idea of a plant-based diet, plant-based dietary guidelines globally for everybody. Oh, got a super chat here. What's up, John? John Dennison. Let's see. We got any more? Thanks for the super chats, guys. Really appreciate it. Keep them coming. You guys keep this stream going. You guys keep them super chats going. I'm going to keep going. John Dennison sends $4.99. John Dennison, hope all's well, man. Hope you're having a good month. I think John Dennison was a member of the Keto and Carnivore Collective recently. I think it was just a few months ago that you were in on it, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that's awesome. And of course, we still got Durian Rider cycling tips up there in the chat. Durian Rider cycling tips. Dumbing it down in the chat there. Getting his attention, right? who loves that attention. So you guys make sure to pay attention to Durian Rider in the chat. He really needs his attention. He doesn't have enough attention from his 19-year-old sex slave. All right. On October 6, 2002, CBS News reported that the United States Department of Agriculture, the same agency of the U.S. government that had been so vigorous in developing Terminator technology, the Terminator seeds, right, that would kill themselves so that farmers are forced to buy them every year, right, so that they can grow corn and wheat and soy for douchebag, toothless degenerates like Durian Rider, right? So they can grow corn, wheat, and soy so that you vegans in the first world, the so-called first world, can live in smart cities, purchase your food with cryptocurrency, so you can buy your Monsanto GMO plant-based kibble. 2002, CBS News reported that the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the same agency of the U.S. government that had been so vigorous in developing Terminator technology, had also financed 32 field trials around the country for growing drug and drug compounds in various crops. The U.S. government field trials included Epicite's spermicidal corn technology. What was not revealed was that the USDA was also providing the field trial results to scientists at the U.S. Department of Defense through one of their numerous biological research laboratories, such as the Edgewood Chemical and Biological Center in Maryland. All right. So, U.S. government working with Epicite, studying spermicidal corn, doing field trials on spermicidal corn back in 2001. All right. What the hell is going on here, guys? What is going on? Why would the U.S. government, the Department of Defense, want to grow spermicidal corn? Corn being the staple food of dumbass kibble eaters all over the world. Why would they do that? Oh my goodness. Right? Why would these same organizations that openly talk about how we need to kill everybody and get rid of everybody, oh, they just want to feed us with GMO, with good GMO corn, right? They just want to save the planet. They just want to save the planet. Will Hester, what's up, dude? $5 says, can you recommend some sort of muscle training other than traditional bodybuilding / bro movements? Something easier on the joints. Hey, man, yeah, that's a good question. Kettlebell training, very, very fun, right? So I'm not really, I do enjoy doing some heavy lifting, right? There was a period where I was going to try to get that 500-pound deadlift. I realized that with some of the injuries that I have incurred, that I did incur as a kid, some of the chronic pain that I had in my back, some of the crookedness in my hips that I'd grown up with. Remember, I was diagnosed scoliosis in 7th grade. Squatting, deadlifting, I don't do it anymore, right? I play football, I play soccer, once a week. So I do some sprinting and running, something that is also kind of hard on the joints, right? Sprinting, running, you probably don't want to do that. If you want to build some muscle, other than like traditional bodybuilding movements, kettlebells are real fun. And there's a lot you can do with kettlebells. So you can look into some like kettlebell starting programs. I don't know, Pavel, I don't know how you say his name, that Russian dude, that Russian bot, Pavel. He's got some good information on this type of stuff. So yeah, look at kettlebells. You can also, traditional bodybuilding bro movements are useful for a reason, right? Everybody who's trying to put on muscle, they use these movements for a reason. They're real effective. But you can build muscle doing calisthenics. You can build muscle doing bodyweight stuff. You can use resistance bands. All right? There's a lot of different tools that you can use to build muscle. But what's crucial to build muscle is you've got to stimulate the muscle. You need to rest and recover. Right? So you need, in order to get your hormones correct, in order to have sex steroid hormones, you need to be sleeping well, right? You need to provide the body with the building blocks that can rebuild and regenerate those muscles after they've been sufficiently stimulated and broken down. And lather, rinse, repeat. So yeah, look into kettlebells, man. Thanks for the $5. Really appreciate the all the super chats. Really appreciate everybody. And if you want to learn how to make some gains, you can ask our friend Durian Rider. He's in the chat, right? He's always flexing up on camera. He's advertising himself in the chat right now. He wants to show you his gains. He loves flexing it up in front of the camera, right? So if you want to do that, you can do some vegan workouts with Durian Rider, or you can do Frank Tefano's vegan workouts and do his do some Kegels with Frank. I'm sorry, Fwank. So yeah, if you want to get that vegan physique, maybe listen to some advice from Darian Reuter or his fellow vegan activist Fwanky. All right, so let's go back to the task at hand here. Dr. Gerasi talking about immunological approaches for birth control. In 1970, Epicite announcing, sorry, I hope I'm not too loud, I'm getting too close to the mic. Epicite announcing spermicidal corn in 2001, right? Working with the State Department, the Department of Defense rather, and the Department of Agriculture in the United States to test and develop spermicidal corn. These are the type of ideas that get pushed, right? This is the type of stuff that gets pushed. And of course, pop culture is one of the most effective weapons. Pop culture is one of the most effective weapons against fertility ever imagined. All right, so now, I mean, we've got, of course, the degenerate YouTube world, right? You've got social media. You've also got the mainstream media constantly pumping this stuff out there. And all these YouTubers, very, very easily controlled via money. Via the money. All right, so you start promoting degeneracy. You start promoting things like put the pee-pee in the poo-poo. You start promoting things like non-traditional marriage situations, right? Polyamory, open relationships. All this shit gets promoted. And what gets demonized? Of course, what gets demonized is the family. What gets demonized are the foods that keep us alive. What gets demonized is sexuality for the purpose of procreation. Right? They want you to have sex for recreation rather than procreation, as we saw in some of the clips that I put in the introduction. Right? You got Teen Vogue telling girls to put the pee-pee in the poo-poo. You've got Vice magazine saying chicks should only put the pee-pee in the poo-poo because of overpopulation. And now you've got the media congratulating this amazing celebrity. All the celebrities are all going vegan. You've got Klaus. This is Klaus from Plant-Based News. And all the hottest celebrities are going vegan. Now, it's very controversial, but many of these vegans are also opting not to have children. Not just because they can't have children, because they're sterile, but these celebrities are also not having children because they're asexual. They have no sex drive. Emma Watson is vegan. Well, kind of. The readharvest.com, or threadharvest rather. Threadharvest.com. Talking about Emma Watson. Oh, she's so great. She has vegan-friendly fashion. She's promoting vegan-friendly fashion ideas. Oh, so amazing. It's so good. Emma Watson is vegan, kind of. Now, you know the vegans. They love it. If a celebrity is kind of vegan, it's totally okay and cool, right? Kai Green is going vegan. Oh, the Game Changers. Kai Green's going vegan so he can sell an ebook and make some money pumping up this bullshit Netflix pea protein isolate advertisement documentary called the Game Changers. Oh, Kai Green's going vegan. This is great. Even though the dude was vegan for like 4 days, so-called vegan. Showed himself fake eating a plant-based meal in his office. Didn't even take one bite. Didn't even put one bite of the food into his mouth. And then he releases an ebook. Right. Well, Emma Watson is vegan too. Kind of. So she doesn't say she's vegan, but she promotes sustainable style, right? Sustainable fashion is what they're talking about now. My mom, who's awesome, love my mom. Love you, Mom. You're probably not watching. But my mom, she works in the fashion industry. She's in the fashion industry. She works for Nordstrom. So she works in the fashion industry. And guess what? They're talking about fast fashion is going out of style, right? They want fast fashion out of style. They want sustainable fashion. All the sustainability talk is going all over the place. All right? So celebrities love food. Celebrities love food too, guys. Look, celebrities are just like us. Let's see celebrities' vegan food. Emma Watson's vegan breakfast. Oops. I want to be like the celebrities. I'm going to eat meals made of all sides too. All right, so you got Emma Watson's vegan breakfast video. I don't even, like, how does this even happen? Romance food. Who is this? What the hell is this? Alright, so Emma Watson's vegan meal. Right, all these celebrities get used to push this ideology on us, right? The Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, reminding us that we're all animals. Look at that really cool one eye symbolism. That's so cool and edgy and esoteric, bro. Joaquin Phoenix, who grew up in a Hollywood sex cult, right? And I'm not trying to like make fun of him or beat him up or anything. Like Joaquin Phoenix, obviously, big boy celebrity. He can hold his own. Very, very talented actor, right? Really liked him in The Master. That I really like P.T. Anderson's movies, but he was in The Master. What else was he in recently? Joaquin Phoenix. He was in quite a few really good movies. Anyways, Joaquin Phoenix on the PETA ad. Right, oh, we're all animals. End speciesism. Live vegan. End speciesism. PETA. What does PETA also recommend we do? Euthanasia. Right, so PETA, who wants to give humans animal rights and give animals human rights, guess how they treat the animals who they want to give you equal rights with? They euthanize them. Approximately 6 to 8 million animals are handled by animal shelters in the U.S. each year, even though some are reclaimed or adopted. Nearly 4 million unwanted dogs and cats are left with nowhere to go. Animal shelters cannot humanely house and support all these animals until their natural deaths. They would be forced to live in cramped cages or kennels for years, lonely and stressed, and other animals would have to be turned away because there would be no room. So guess what? We're gonna kill them! Euthanasia literally means good death. And true euthanasia, delivered by an intravenous injection of sodium pentobarbital, is painless, quick, and dignified. It's dignified, guys. So PETA promotes the euthanasia of animals. It is also, at the same time, doing all these weird, ritualistic, weird ceremonies, these funky little ritualistic photo ops with celebrities, dehumanizing them and saying, you're the same as an animal. Too much pussy can be a bad thing, says the Situation. Situation says, spay and neuter your sexual object partners. Spay and neuter your sexual object partners. So PETA promotes euthanasia for animals, yet wants to give animals human rights. They want to give you animal rights and animals human rights. And they want to euthanize animals. So, how interesting. How interesting.
Is ready to give a new term to being single.
Oops.
Emma Watson is ready to give a new term to being single. She's on the cover of the December issue of British Vogue.
So it'll hit newsstands on Friday, and the superstar is preparing to turn 30 in April. And while she's single, she prefers to call herself self-partnered.
So I am dating, yeah. As in not one specific person, but I'm going on dates.
Oh, you've got 5 or 6 on the go at any time.
No, I'm dating in the sense that
you're dating.
I'm dating.
Yeah, you're out there.
I never believed the whole I'm happy single spiel. I was like, this is spiel.
Yeah.
This is totally
Isn't
spiel.
it interesting, the stuff that we take
I
in
know.
and have to unpack?
It took me a long time, but I'm very happy. I call it being self-partnered.
Right.
Right. I'm self-partnered. And so I didn't watch all the Harry Potter movies, but I think she played Hermione or whatever, Hermione or something in the Harry Potter films, right? She's a famous actress. I mean, she's not fully vegan, right? We talked about it earlier. The vegans will claim her, right? Because she did a vegan fashion line or some shit like that. So the vegans will say, oh, she's vegan. She doesn't actually do a vegan diet as far as I know. But she's doing what's so vegan, and that is opting to not have a family. Opting to not have children and be self-partnered. Right? So I don't know like how this stuff works, right? Maybe her publicist came up with this idea. Who knows why they're pushing this at this moment right now. But it's always something new every month, right? Polyamory is on the plate, right? Next year, you're going to see a big push of legitimizing polyamory and polyamorous relationships, which, I don't know. I think they're absolutely nonsensical. I think it is completely degenerate, right? And it's something that is just, I mean, it's self-torture, right? It's self-torture, these polyamorous relationships. So she's talking about being self-partnered. Self-partnered, Emma Watson. Crazy, right? All right, we got a super chat. Dude, check it out. One of my favorite channels, Keto Connect. Mega and Matt, some of my favorite people on the internet. Really quality folks over there at Keto Connect. You guys probably don't need to tell you about, you don't need me to tell you that they have their own YouTube channel, which is really awesome. She just had a baby. Congratulations on the baby. I've seen some of the pictures on Instagram. Eating meat and making families. You guys are awesome. Glad you guys are over there with your happy family. Got a beautiful kid, beautiful baby boy. Keto Connect sends a generous super chat of $50, which I really appreciate. Says, you've got me feeling very empowered to take #climate action. What are your thoughts or good resources for transitioning baby to solid foods? Keto Connect. What's up, guys? Okay, one of the better resources, I think, and what we followed with Ryder and Ariana, she wasn't on this when we weaned her, but when she was about 1.5 years, we started eating a lot of the foods that are recommended by the Weston A. Price Foundation. Weston A. Price Foundation gives some really good advice on first foods to give kids. One of the first foods that Ryder had was egg yolk, right? Egg yolk. From soft-boiled eggs or raw egg yolk was what Ryder had first. Then he started eating a little bit of things like liver, a little bit of meat, slow-cooked meat, right? Just a little bite at a time. They digest meat very well. The easiest foods to digest are not the high-fiber nonsense, are not these high-fiber plant foods. The easiest foods to digest, the foods that kids need, the foods that human beings require, are animal foods, right? Animal fat. So that's what we went for. Good stuff like slow-cooked meat. Good stuff like egg yolks. Good stuff like... we also gave a little avocado, too. We're starting them out, but we're focusing mostly on those animal foods. So the easy-to-digest foods, which are not high-fiber foods, which is not processed, refined, vegan kibble. There's animal foods, and I'm sure you guys have already begun to... to do some of these things. Your kid's probably like 3 months old now, right? Ryder, I think, started eating solid foods at like 6 months. Jessica started giving it to him. But I don't know, maybe we can do some sort of a podcast on that specific topic or do a stream with you guys at some point in the near future. Now that you guys are settled in, you got the baby, maybe we can do a stream on it. All right, so thanks, Keto Connect. Really appreciate the super chat. You guys, if you got any questions, make sure to hit up the super chats. All right. So back to the task at hand.
This is totally
Isn't it interesting, the stuff that we take
I
in
know.
and then have to unpack?
It took me a long time, but I'm very happy. I call it being self-partnered.
Is my audio level good?
Right.
Is she loud
The
enough?
reaction, though, she just goes, right, right. But I get the idea.
Oh, come on.
If you could look at it and go, you know, I'm taking myself out for dinner. I'm taking myself out for a coffee. I enjoy time with myself.
It reminds me of Gwyneth Paltrow's consciously uncoupling.
Very much so,
A little
yeah.
bit, but like...
Time with myself. I want to just have some time by myself. Right, so this kind of like loneliness society that we live in, it's kind of funny, right? We currently live in a society that the lonely person is kind of this archetype that gets pushed now, right? Everybody living in their little coffin apartments, communicating via social media, obsessively sending text messages via the chat, like the degenerate durian rider who I put on timeout for just a little bit. Just a little bit. You're just on timeout, buddy, because there's every single other comment in the chat is from Durian Rider, right? So just take a timeout, cool off over there, go play with your 19-year-old sex toy, right? Who you groomed since before she was 18. You can go do that, Durian Predator. And if you come back and you annoy me, you just might get banned too. So you know that's what you wanted, right? But hey, maybe you can come on for another debate again, and I can tell you what a piece of shit degenerate you still are. So anyways, self-partnering, right? Self-partnering, right? Don't have kids, don't have families. The traditional family is something that we need to program out of people, right? There's policy papers like the study we were just discussing. Oops. The policy papers like this one we were just discussing, U.S. Population Growth and Family Planning, a review of the literature. They talk about changing your view on marriage. All right, so you've got social constraints, restructure family, postpone or avoid marriage, or alter image of ideal family size. So not only have they done that, right? Ideal family size decrease. Oh, it's so expensive to have kids. If you have kids, you have to pay for them. Oh my goodness, you'll have less money to be selfish with, right? You'll have less money to spend on VR porn tokens that you buy with your Bitcoin. Right? You're going to have less money to buy consumer electronic objects and inject them into your body and become a cyborg, right? Like, you're going to have less money for Neuralink, where you can get your free DMT hits with hashtag, if you use the coupon code hashtag pee-pee in the poo-poo Joe Rogan, right? Like, you're going to have less money if you have kids. They do that, but then they also alter your image of what a real family looks like. Not just the size, but what a real healthy relationship looks like. Right? They tell you that a real healthy relationship is no relationship. Now, right? They tell you polyamory is a good idea. Right? Destructive sexual practices that'll destroy your gut microbiome are a good idea. And then they tell you, how about just don't even have families, don't even have relationships. Let's all just be self-partnered. Right? You can just marry yourself. All right, social constraints. They also talk about compulsory education of children, which we see now. You have sex education where you have men in dresses and makeup reading to kids. Encourage increased homosexuality. Obviously, we see that. Educate for family limitation. There you go. You got the Richard Dawkins, Prince Philip. Prince Philip being really good friends with the philanthropist Jimmy Savile. All right, Prince Philip, also the father of Prince Andrew. Close friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Rest in peace, Jeffrey. Got the Jeffrey Epstein, rest in peace, Jeffrey Epstein shirt on right now. Just in case you guys were wondering, he committed suicide, right? R.I.P. Epstein. Dude, I can't. This shirt legit sold for like $300 on. I wish I bought like 5 of these and just sold them on eBay. But I just got one. I'm gonna wear it. Someone was selling this shirt for $750 on one of these like boutique sites. Crazy. So educate for family limitation. Fertility control agents in water supply. Fertility control agents in water supply. This has been openly discussed since the 1970s. Encourage women to work. Okay. Economic deterrence can also be used. Right. So what are some of the negative ways that we can go about it? Economic deterrence and incentives. Substantial marriage tax. Child tax. Tax married more than single. Remove parents' tax exemption. Additional taxes on parents with more than 1 or 2 children in school. Reduce or eliminate paid maternity leave or benefits. Reduce or eliminate children's or family allowances. Bonuses for delayed marriage and greater child spacing. Pensions for women of 45 with less than N children. Eliminate welfare payments after the first 2 children. What's this one? Chronic depression. What? What? Chronic depression? I didn't even see that one, but they didn't talk about this one in Ecoscience. Now, Ecoscience talks about chronic depression of like, they didn't say chronic depression, but they talk about economic depressions as a way to decrease fertility rates. This one says economic deterrence, chronic depression. Now, is this a double entendre? This is like kind of like a weird double entendre here. Are they talking about economic depressions and like actual depression? Right? Because we see the depression rates now are crazy, right? Insane depression rates as we consume all this mass media, right? Mass media telling us, oh, carbon is destroying the planet. Every time you exhale, Gaia cries a tear of oil. Every time you have a baby, the earth cries a tear of oil. They tell you that you're bad for the earth. They tell you that, oh, suicide rates might go up because of climate change. Oh, my goodness, you're so depressed. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Or you get gaslit into thinking that you're so bad and that it's all your fault, that all this bad stuff happens. And if you were just gone, then everything would be good. Crazy. Chronic depression. So they're talking about economic depression, but there's definitely a double entendre there because of the spread of depression that we see in the Western world, due to the decadent Western lifestyle and all the toxic pop culture that we consume, this is definitely a deterrent to having kids. All right, we got require women to work and provide few child care facilities. We already got that, right? The child care facilities that we have now, it's the government daycare facilities, aka the public education system, which is basically mandatory for most people. Eliminate public financed medical care, scholarships, housing, loans, and subsidies for families with more than N children. And then we've got, here's the best part, guys. Here's the best part, guys. Compulsory abortion of out-of-wedlock pregnancies, right? Oh, out-of-wedlock pregnancies. Maybe people will buy into that one, right? Compulsory sterilization of all who have 2 children, except for a few. You could do Dr. Greger, compulsory sterilization of those who have 2 children, except for a few who would be allowed 3. Confine childbearing to only limited numbers of adults. It's like by Dr. Greger. With Dr. Greger, you got it's like half mumble rap, half like it's like a really slimy mumble rap with a bunch of soy in the throat. Confine childbearing to only a limited number of adults. Right? So they're talking about selective breeding. They're talking about policies for this. Right? Housing policies, discouragement of private home ownership. What do we see now? Just like we saw in the intro video. All right, we see the push for what's called the sharing economy. Right? So they're baiting us into this stuff with things like Uber, right? Where it's like, oh, you don't have to have your car, you just call up Uber, right? So then they used people's entrepreneurial tendencies in the U.S. to erect this giant sharing economy, corporations like Uber, and eventually they want to move into fully automated, right? So they don't want, nobody's going to work for Uber in the future. It's going to be all automated. It's going to be all driverless vehicles. Right, so discouragement of private home ownership, discouragement of private property ownership, of course, this is what is being pushed by these Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 cities, these smart cities. That's what's being pushed by the World Economic Forum, by all the big banks, by the IMF. They want a sharing economy. What does that mean? It means global corporations share your stuff with you. Right? It's like if you don't need to own a book. Well, you don't need to own any books at all, right? You just get it on your Kindle. Kindle the fire that burns the books as you empower Amazon, which owns Whole Foods, which gets $500 million plus last year to do the CIA's cloud services, right? So all these, the sharing economy that Amazon, that Uber, that these big corporations are trying to push in means that you don't own anything, right? That's why we talked about, there's so much. There's just so much. We talked about the World Economic Forum article by Ida Auken, the editorial article, which I talked about this like almost 2 years ago in a stream, but I keep going back to it because it's a really good, oh no, that's not it. Where'd it go? There it is. The World Economic Forum. I own nothing. I have no privacy. And life has never been better. So Ida Auken wrote this article for the World Economic Forum, the Davos elite, the World Economic Forum. Greta Thunberg spoke there. How dare you? You have stolen my future. How dare you? You've stolen my childhood. She went to the World Economic Forum and talked about all this shit. Because this is all about what's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Welcome to 2030. Of course, it's 2030, right? You got Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. That's the next benchmark year where they want to have this technocratic global system implemented fully, right? It's 2030. I own nothing. I have no private property, and life has never been better. Welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city. Or should I say our city? I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or clothes. It might seem odd to you, but it makes perfect sense for us in this city. Everything you considered a product has now become a service. We have access to transportation, accommodation, food, and all things we need in our daily lives. One by one, all these things became free. So it ended up not making sense to us to own much. First, communication became digitized to free to everyone. Then, when clean energy became free, things started moving quickly. Transportation dropped dramatically in price. It now made no sense for us to own cars anymore because we could call a driverless vehicle or a flying car for longer journeys within minutes. We started transporting ourselves in a much more organized and coordinated way when public transport became easier, quicker, and more convenient than the car. Now I can hardly believe that we accepted congestion and traffic jams, not to mention the air pollution from combustion engines. What were we thinking? Sometimes I use my bike when I go to see some of my friends. I enjoy the exercise and the ride. It kind of gets the soul to come along on the journey. Funny how some things seem never to lose their excitement. Walking, biking, cooking, drawing, and growing plants. It makes perfect sense and reminds us of how our culture emerged out of a close relationship with nature. In our city, we don't pay any rent because someone else is using our free space whenever we do not need it. What? What the hell are you talking about? What? My living room is used for business meetings when I'm not there. So your living room, you guys, it's so great. The sharing economy, like Google will own your phone and your house, spy on you constantly. Right? You'll get your food dispensed to you from the walls. You won't have to do anything, right? They know what you need. The centralized AI is going to know exactly what you need. All right, and your living room can be used to film VR polyamory porn films while you're not there, right? So you're not like I'm not using my living room if I go outside, if I'm doing some work in the yard. So I'll just share it, right? You guys can come make your pornography film in my living room and just clean up all the goop, off of the ground, and we'll be okay. You can film your porno in here. The sharing economy. The sharing economy. This is what it's about. The fourth industrial revolution. So they've talked about this for 40, 50 years. Right? Of course, eliminating private property has been talked about for a long time, right? Marx. Right? Look at what happened in the Soviet Union, right? We're looking at now with this global resource consolidation under the guise of the climate crisis, under the guise of feeding us the plant-based sustainable diet. What we see is a global Bolshevik-style technocratic revolution. And I'm not trying to be extreme when I say that. I wish it wasn't the case, but that is what we see. That is what's being planned. That's what the World Economic Forum, the IMF, the European Bank, and Christine Lagarde, who headed the IMF but now runs the European Bank, this is what these people want for the whole planet. Complete population control. Complete technocratic control of everything. It's nuts. These people are insane. All right, Man 101, what's up, dude? Sends $2.99 Australian dollars in the super chat. Says, love your work, Tristan. Well, thank you. I love doing what I do. Feel blessed to be able to do what I do, and I appreciate you guys supporting what I do. And I appreciate all the love that I get from people that I love and respect too, right? Like being able to come out here and talk with guys like Jay Dyer, right? You get super chats from my buddies, Keto Connect, right? Getting super chats from my buddy, Seeking Truth in Christ. What's up, dude? Says, hey, Tristan, when you have a chance, watch the movie Harrison Bergeron, 1995, online. It's an eye-opening dystopian film full of predictive programs. Yeah, I mean, man, to me, the ultimate dystopian film, well, Blade Runner was really good. Blade Runner 2049, and good, I don't mean good as in like, oh, that was awesome. That's like horrific, but it's very, very accurate as far as like what people have written about, what guys who have been planning this for decades have written about, what guys like H.G. Wells wrote about in his nonfiction books, in his book The Open Conspiracy, what guys like Bertrand Russell wrote about in The Scientific Outlook and in The Impact of Science on Society. Those films, those Blade Runner films, and then also THX 1138, all those really, really crazy sci-fi movies that show exactly where this is going if we accept this shit, right? Now, of course, we're going to fight this, right? My family doesn't accept this. This is why we live where we live. This is why we have animals. This is why we produce food on our own land. And this is why we encourage you guys to support local animal husbandry, right? For you guys to get involved in the production of your own food. See a mosquito, and I'm going to kill it if it gets close to me. Is that vegan? All right, so Men 101, what's up, dude? Says, screw vegans. Eat meat, make babies. That's right, man. You must have been around for a long time. Eat meat and make babies. Those classic streams from like 1-2 years ago are great. Okay, what's up? We got a bunch of cool. We got Cowatarian up in the chat. Got a bunch of regulars. Honest AF, what's up? Lots of familiar faces here. Trav, what's up, dude? All right, Cowatarian sends $5. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. I see your name popping up regularly, and I really appreciate the support, guys. You guys really do help when you throw these super chats out there, and we want to thank you guys for the generous donations we received via PayPal last month and the month before when we weren't streaming at all. That was really helpful. So if you guys do want to help us out, if you do want to support our work via PayPal, we don't have a Patreon. I don't like the company Patreon, but I might end up having to do a Patreon eventually just because of the nature of how social media works, how the hiding of this content goes. We might have to do the Patreon, but we want to thank the people who have become partners and who donate regularly via PayPal. You can sign up to do $5 a month, $10 a month, $100 a month, whatever you want. You can do that. You can donate via PayPal if you want. We want to thank the people who donated last month. Really appreciate that. Keeping this work afloat. And let's get back to the task at hand. The sharing economy. World Economic Forum, Ida Auken, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the technocratic revolution, Huxley's final revolution. This is what they're selling you. They're selling you on a technocratic total control grid run by big data, big tech, big ag, big pharma, all of these bankrolled by the same international interests who are telling us that it's all our fault, that the planet is fallen, right? That it's all our fault that we have weather changes. It's all our fault that we don't control the weather. That it's all our fault. Even though people have been controlling weather technologically for generations, right? For decades. It has been known that you can manipulate the weather technologically. The Air Force published a policy paper owning the weather by 2025, weather as a force multiplier. Because weather is a weapon. Weather is a weapon. Environmental problems seem far away. In our city, we don't pay rent because someone else is using our free space whenever we do not need it. My living room is used for business meetings when I'm not there. Once in a while, I will choose to cook for myself. It is easy. The necessary kitchen equipment is delivered at my door within minutes. Right? Because you're not going to own anything. In their smart cities that these people have designed, you're going to live in a cubby that is shared with a bunch of other people in a coffin apartment where everything you do, everything you use is rationed to you in the sharing economy, where Google shares a phone with you if you're a good boy, where they'll share rides with you if you're a good little boy, if you're a good global citizen. Right, so since transport became free, we stopped having all those things stuffed into our home. Why keep a pasta maker and a crepe cooker crammed into our cupboards? We can just order them when we need them. This also made breakthrough on the circular economy easier. When products are turned into services, no one has an interest in things with a short lifespan. Everything is designed for durability, repairability, and recyclability. The materials are flowing more quickly in our economy and can be transported to new products pretty easily. And so they tell, oh, it's so great. Oh, the air is clean. The water is clean. Nobody would dare touch the protected areas of nature because they constitute such value to our well-being. In the cities, we have plenty of green space and plants and trees all over. I still do not understand why in the past we filled all free spots in the cities with concrete. What did they just say? Whoa, what? The protected areas of nature, nobody would dare touch those. Yeah, nobody would dare touch those because in the Agenda 2030, Agenda 21 smart city grid, they're going to crowd you into these coffin apartment cities that are socially engineered and planned and run by global technocrats. But global technocrats, this is where they want you. Right? And you're not going to be able to touch what they call the clean nature. They want to make most of the planet off limits to you and I. They don't want you touching it. Right? Because this belongs to David Attenborough. This belongs to Prince Philip. This belongs to Jimmy Savile and Jeffrey Epstein and his good friend Bill Gates, who Jeffrey Epstein told to give a millions of dollar donation to MIT's Media Lab, right? Why is Jeffrey Epstein telling Bill Gates who to donate to and how much money to donate to? Wow, it's almost like all these degenerate pedos are blackmailing each other and using donations, NGOs and corporations and universities to launder billions of dollars. Wow, it's almost like that's really happening. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Here they are. They tell you what they want. They tell you you're not going to be able to touch anything if you're not told to touch it. They tell you we want to crowd you into smart cities and take away you from nature. And we want to protect nature from you because you're not natural, right? They want you to be separate. You're not natural. Natural world good, humans bad. It's this inverted theology. Completely inverted. But everything's going to be great, they say. It's all going to be great. The death of shopping. When AI and robots took over so much of our work, we suddenly had time to eat well, sleep well, and spend time with other people. The concept of rush hour makes no sense anymore. So they tell you, oh, it's just going to be this utopia, right? You're just going to be able to kick it all day, right? You're just going to hang out in VR porn, just kick it with all your celebrity friends, right? Dude, I'm just going to go hang out with Joe Rogan's avatar in VR all day today, man. It's going to be so sick. I want to listen to Terrence McKenna tell me all about how I should stop having babies and smoke a bunch of drugs. It's going to be sick, dude. The concept of rush hour makes no sense anymore since the work that we can do can be done at any time. So we're not going to have to work. It's going to be so great. My biggest concern is all the people who do not live in our city. Those we lost along the way. Those who decided that it became too much, all this technology. Those who felt obsolete and useless when robots and AI took over parts of our jobs. Those who got upset with the political system and turned against it. They live different kinds of lives outside the city. Some have formed little self-supplying communities. Others have stayed in the empty, abandoned houses and small 19th century buildings. Once in a while I get annoyed about the fact that I have no real privacy. Nowhere I can go not be registered. I know that somewhere everything I do, think, and dream of is recorded. I just hope that nobody will use it against me. All in all, it's a good life, much better than the path we were on, where it became so clear that we could not continue with the same model of growth. We had all these terrible things happening. Lifestyle diseases, climate change, the refugee crisis, environmental degradation, completely congested cities, water pollution, air pollution, social unrest, and unemployment. We lost too many people before we realized that we could do things differently. So this is what they have planned for you, the sharing economy. The sharing economy. We're going to share. We're going to share our stuff. We're not going to own anything. And we're going to share our sexual object masturbation devices, aka our wives, our partners, right? Because sex is just for fun. It's just for fun. Nuts. Nutcases, right? But that's Ida Auken, right? She gave a speech in front of the World Economic Forum talking about these same things too. Maybe in the next stream we'll talk about Ida Auken some more because her speech about some of her speeches are very, very interesting. So anyways, she's a Danish socialist politician, basically. I think she's Danish. Total nutcase. Complete elitist who wants to take away all private property and put us in the smart cities. Men 101, what's up, dude? Australian 14.99. Thanks a lot, dude. Sent 14.99 says, Tristan, sign up for TransferWise. I've never heard of that, man. People can send you donations for free, and it's not an evil company like PayPal, right? PayPal's so whack. With TransferWise, you can have local bank accounts in US, EU, UK, Aus, and New Zealand. All right, dude. Cool. TransferWise, I'm going to look it up. Much appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the donation, man. I'm going to look up that TransferWise. I will, let me just copy this and send it in a Skype message to my wife, who is sleeping right now, and I will have my wife ask her boyfriend if TransferWise might be right for us. Right? Thanks for the donation. Thank you so much for the suggestion, man. G-Dub sends $20. What's up, G-Dub? That's a familiar face or familiar name. I don't see your face, but I've seen you around. Going vegan has become avant-garde in normie land. The monkey see, monkey do aspect of it is all frightening. Oh, mortal man, is there anything you cannot be made to believe? Not much. Someone else is talking about Cash App. Cash App, isn't that Jack Dorsey's? I think it is. I think Cash App is Jack Dorsey's. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for the suggestions. I'm gonna look into this stuff. I want an alternative to Patreon, right? Like we've got a lot of. We're gonna do a membership section of the website as well. We've got loads of exclusive content stacked already. So here's a little preemptive, little teaser of that. We're gonna be having a members section of the website soon with exclusive content, exclusive interviews and podcasts. We're gonna be able to do stuff that we couldn't do on YouTube with the members section. Hosting, we might have to host videos in different places in case YouTube gets real crazy, which it looks like it might soon. But yeah, we've got some big changes coming, and we really appreciate the support that everybody has extended to us. Shit, we've been doing this for 6 years now and putting out videos on YouTube, and it's been really cool. It's been really cool being able to network with all you guys. I know we got people watching here who've been watching for years. All right, so let's get back to it. So this right here, they're talking about social controls other than compulsory abortion and out-of-wedlock for out-of-wedlock pregnancies, other than compulsory sterilization, and then making people have certificates and permits to have children. They also talk about discouragement of private home ownership as a policy for reducing globally the birth rate. Right? They're talking specifically about the U.S. How can you discourage private home ownership, right? Without outright banning private ownership? Well, you have van life YouTubers. You have a bunch of degenerate YouTubers telling people to be living the van life. Not that there's anything wrong with living van life if you want to live the van life, but this is what they promote. They promote van life. They promote polyamory. They promote situations where people are wanting to travel all the time, right? They want all the millennials. They think it's just so cool to travel, right? They get told that I want to have an experience. I'll pay for experiences, right? Now, just like in that in the video that we watched clips of earlier in the intro mashup edit, they talked about millennials want experiences. They want to pay for experiences. They don't want to own things because we've been socially engineered to think this way. Okay, so stop awarding public housing based on family size. That's another interesting suggestion. But then they also talk about measures predicated on existing motivation to prevent unwanted pregnancy, payments to encourage sterilization, payments to encourage contraception, payments to encourage abortion, abortion and sterilization on demand, allow certain contraceptives to be distributed non-medically, improve contraceptive technology, right? Just like we see in this book, The Seeds of Destruction. The State Department, the Department of Defense, and corporations, Dow Chemical, developing spermicide-producing corn. What other antibodies can they be putting in these GMO foods? If you can create corn that can make antibodies to sperm, what else can you be doing to reduce population through the modification of the food supply? How interesting. Another one, improve maternal health care with family planning as a core element. So that doesn't sound so bad, right? Oh, improve health care. What do they mean by health care? They mean abortions. They mean infanticide. All right, come over here in the chat. What's going on, guys? Got a bunch of people. Look, we had like 325 people, and then like 30 people just dropped out. If it pauses and you hit refresh, sometimes there are buffering and loading issues. So if it does pause, just hit refresh. Many of those who advocate changing fertility behavior, whether by manipulating preferences or through coercion, are skeptical about the effectiveness of education or persuasion. Such programs would need supplementing with other more direct legislative measures. We have a compelling reason to believe that developing peoples will never be merely propagandized or educated into really wanting small families. It does not seem that their desires for larger families will succumb to flip charts, flannel boards, message movies, group leaders, or explanations about the advantages of few children. So we need to do more. We cannot rely on awareness of the facts alone. What else can we do? Well, they talk about subdivide sex education into 4 areas, including social science aspects of population, demography, human fertility, and social determinants of population growth, which we already see. Right? Educational programs, which we see in schools. Develop technology. Develop methods of economic control. These will alter families' view of its own economic prospects and its understanding of the financial implications of more children. Telling you in the education system not to have babies, right? Educate them. How can you control the population? Well, you educate the population. Blubbersphere sends 10. We got a bunch of Aussies. What's up, everyone? Blubbersphere says, here is a payment to encourage the eating of meat and the making of babies. That's awesome, man. We might have to have another baby soon, guys. We only got 2 right now. It's good for the woman to have a little break. Jessica's getting the her trigger finger is itchy. She's got an itchy trigger finger and she wants another baby. I want more babies too. But yeah, that $10 might have to go towards some food to feed a growing baby in the womb soon. We'll see what's up. So thank you so much for the donation. Man, it's a shame what's going on over there in Australia. All them degenerates pushing this vegan agenda. It's funny how a lot of these vegan activists come out of Australia. Joey Carbstrong, that vegan couple, Durian Royda, who was in the chat earlier, had to put him on timeout. Had to put 2 of his accounts on timeout because he was spamming the shit out of it. But all these degenerates over in Australia are pushing this agenda, but it's really cool that there's so many people that actually are pushing back against this stuff, right? People are pushing back against Joey Fart Strong. People are pushing against the Durian degenerate. People are pushing back, right? Because they want families. They want a healthy society. They want life. Now, they understand that animal foods are crucial for life, for the development of children. And we're sick of seeing kids suffer from these vegan starvation diets. So, shout out to all the Aussies out there. You guys are awesome. I mean, I make fun of a lot of these degenerate Aussie YouTubers a lot, but not all Australians, guys. Come on. Not all Aussies. Modify socio-cultural factors and motivation. So let's go. Anyways, very, very good read. U.S. Population Growth and Family Planning, a review of the literature. This document lines right up with all the stuff we've been talking about on this channel for years now. And it lines up really well with Paul Ehrlich and John P. Holdren's book, Ecoscience, where he also talks about forced sterilization, also talks about using education, talks about immunizing men against their own sperm would theoretically be a way to halt sperm production. However, this possibility will require many years to develop, even if it is even feasible. So I'm not making this up, guys. This is not just some like fringe kook out here writing this. This is page 1000. Immunizing men against their own sperm. And then we see the Department of Defense developing this. All right, so it's been openly discussed and developed. And then Emma Watson. Emma Watson gets to help the situation. Talking about why not to have babies, why not to even have relationships, right? Shit, let's all just live alone in our coffin apartments. Let's all just be social media starlets.
Okay, so Emma Watson turns 30 in a few short months, and she's already making headlines about the occasion. In a recent interview with British Vogue, Watson opened up about the pressures, the expectations that come with turning 30, such as having a secure, serious relationship, getting married, owning a home, having a child. She says rather than being, quote, single, she prefers to call it self-partnered.
Many are joking?
No. She doesn't joke much. Many are likening it to when Gwyneth Paltrow called her divorce a conscious uncoupling. So what's your take? Is this a more positive approach to defying expectations associated with age, or is it just plain silly?
I mean, so a lot of people obviously eye rolling at this thing. Just embrace that you're single. I saw a great take online though that said often single can mean looking. Available, ready for someone else, and maybe self-partnered is her way of saying, I don't need someone else. I'm not in a place where I want to be with anyone else because I'm enjoying just being with myself. A lot of women.
We're going to back this one up because what they said at the very beginning here lines up with everything we just read. Right? Not only are they pushing for people don't even have relationships, right? Just be alone. Just be so happy to be alone. You're so empowered. You're so empowered. It's so great to have no social interaction with people, to have no families, right? So that the transmission of knowledge through the generation just gets done by the state, by the big corporations, by the big banks. Right? But in the beginning here, they say, oh, she's pushing back against traditional ideas about home ownership, owning a home, having children, being in a relationship. Listen to this. Listen to how this is worded. Right? When you watch media, when you watch television, you're not just seeing entertainment. You are seeing a social engineering tool that is there to form your worldview and ultimately make you a product.
Okay, so Emma Watson turns 30 in a few short months, and she's already making headlines about the occasion. In a recent interview with British Vogue, Watson opened up about the pressures, the expectations that come with turning 30, such as having a secure, serious relationship, getting married, owning a home, having a child. She says rather than being, quote, single, she...
Having a home, having a child, getting married, having a serious relationship, all these things are so lame. It's just so much more cool and lit to have nothing, to own nothing, to have no relationships, no family, and to never pass on any knowledge to anybody, right? Because ultimately they always tell you know nothing anyways, right? You're just toxic little monkeys who evolved from pond scum that grew up and became a shrew and then became a monkey and then grew up into a hairless monkey, and you're just a toxic sludge cancer on the earth who knows nothing, right? So you shouldn't be able to have kids. You shouldn't be able to pass on knowledge to those kids. You should just sit down, shut up, take your pills, watch your TV, and go ride your damn bike. Russell Brand talking to Emma Watson. Let's see. I haven't
Behold
seen
Emma Watson bursting straight out of Hogwarts, throwing off the shackles of child stardom to become an articulate communicator on the nature of the way that social and media life functions. She says she's self-partnered, not single. Now, there's always gentle ridicule.
Oh, she's so amazing. Oh, so rejoice. Emma Watson, child star, is now using the brainwashed media, the brainwashing media to tell you all to behave exactly like the child star, Emma Watson. It's crazy. I didn't realize she was actually a child star. I remember that she was in Harry Potter, but I guess she's been in front of cameras her whole life, right? She grew up in the Hollywood pedocracy. Goofy ass Russell Brand. Russell Brand's a goof. Okay, said in the chat. Yeah, he's super goofy. Look, he's got his titties popping out of his shirt there. What the hell kind of shirt are you wearing, dude? Russell Brand, it's so great. It's so great that Emma Watson is fighting the patriarchy, fighting the man, right? Fighting capitalism, evil patriarchy.
When people in the public eye of a certain sensibility venture forth a new idea, and of course it's almost impossible to read about this story without seeing it partnered to the Chris Martin, Gwyneth Paltrow uncoupling. We're consciously uncoupling instead of getting divorced. Now, language is very, very powerful, and language is continually evolving. Emma Watson's choice to say, like, I'm self-partnering, even like when I think about those literal words, that confuses me a little bit. But her right to say, I don't want to be regarded as single, somehow incomplete, somehow a person who's on a journey, and if I'm not on that journey, if I'm not with a man or another person, then I'm not somehow participating in what I'm supposed to be participating in. I think it's a very valuable point, and I think Emma Watson continues to use her fame.
I think I can just talk and talk and talk without saying anything, and I sound intelligent if I speak quickly enough and I say it in a nice British accent. People will think I'm intelligent. I'm Russell Brand. Nice, effeminate man. Nice, effeminate man who was married to Katy Perry. And then wasn't he married to a Rothschild after Katy Perry? Alright, so, I don't know, Russell Brand. I can't watch any more Russell Brand. I mean, though, it's just constant, though, right? Constant barrage of don't have kids. You're bad for the planet. Don't have babies. Sterilize yourself. All these fake gurus now. You got the Osho 2.0, Sadhguru. Like this guy's on all the like the podcasts and stuff now. Sadhguru. He's kind of like a more normie version of Osho. Let's hear what he's got to say. He was also in the introduction video.
Right now we are in a place where if we have to feed, clothe and offer a decent life for the 7 billion people, we need, for the standards that we are thinking of, for the standards that most people are aspiring for, we need to outsource our resources from at least another 3 planets Earths. We need at least 3 more planets.
There is not enough resources for me and you. You must kill yourself so I have all the resources because I am Sadhguru. I only wear the same clothes one time. I throw them away. I give them away to charity after I bless them with my holy sweat.
We could do that. It's just that they aren't there. If they were there, no problem. We could have gone and towed one planet close to us and used that planet. But there isn't any other.
There isn't enough planets
So till
for
we
all of
find
us.
such one,
We need 3
it's good
planets.
to hold your reproduction.
Don't reproduce.
Till we find extra planets where we can export our people.
Oh, thank you,
It's good to hold back your reproduction. Otherwise, nobody is going to live well on this planet.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what technology you bring, it doesn't matter what you do. Nobody is going to live well on this planet if you continue to increase.
Increase.
When I say continue to…
If you want to be a proper Indian guru, at the end of your sentences, you must add a little slither. Because when you speak, we must all understand who is your daddy. Because your daddy is the serpents, Sadhgurus.
increase, I want you to understand the volume of increase that we have caused. In the beginning of 20th century, we were only 1.5 billion people on this planet. In 1 century, in 110 years, we are reaching towards 7 billion people. And we are technologically more capable than ever before. What 1,000 men could do, today 1 man can do because of the machines and other things that we have. Now United Nations predicts that by 2050 we'll be 9.6 billion people. At 9.6 billion people, even if the earth is exploited at its present rate or much more, each one of us have to live with 40% less resource than we are living right now. When I say resource,
you need to
don't think
live
of some fancy things. I'm
40%
talking about
less resources. Because I need to use 40% more resources.
that means nobody is going to live well.
Nobody's going to live well. Give me all of your resources. Bill Gates Foundation and Sadhguru Foundation will help to sterilize all the women. Athletes and more. Wait, what is this? Athletes and more, celebrities, entrepreneurs, politicians. You need a new editor, Sadhguru. This is corny ass.
Pranam Sadhguru, my name is Kapildev Behel. Okay.
Oh yes, many blessings
in
to
our
you, sir.
quest for a better life.
Many blessings. Give me all your money and your bitches, and give you many blessings in return.
We hear of younger generation blaming this generation for dwindling the planet of ecology, environment. Do you believe that human beings are heading towards water wars and disaster before we come out from the brink? Or do you have...
Do you think that human beings are going towards water world like Kevin Costner movie? I huge fan Kevin Costner movie Water World. I hope I grow gills, and I wonder if Sadhguru think we will evolve to have gills like Kevin Costner's.
Faith in human ingenuity.
This is… so we must understand this. We are talking about all kinds of things. Right now, they are negotiating hard in Paris, where India and the other countries, which are called as the basic countries, which essentially, this is an idea that we've been talking about for the last 20 years. I've been speaking about this at various forums, saying that let's talk per capita division of consumption and carbon footprint.
You see, isn't it funny how, like, all these new age gurus now, they all push the globalist shit. They all push depopulation, they all push climate crisis narrative. Just like Osho, he was sterilizing his people, he was telling them to be vegetarian. Sadhguru, same shit. You must be vegetarian because it will make you open your heart to all the suffering of the animals, and you will be highly enlightened if you just will starve yourself on a vegetarian diet, or even better, a vegan diet. They all believe in depopulation. They all push the Rockefeller Foundation talking points, and they all push the Population Council talking points, and they all push the UN. They all push the same degeneracy. Sadhguru, proud member of the global elite, probably also a member of Council on Foreign Relations.
If we do that, in India we hardly have a footprint because most people are living in shacks, they're not consuming really anything, they're not leaving a carbon footprint. If the man disappears tomorrow, he's not left a footprint, all right? But they want a different kind of thing. This is a deal which has to be hard negotiated, that's happening. Leaving this aside, what you're trying to ultimately do is to curtail human aspiration. You will not succeed, believe me. There are people I know in California homes, earlier they were driving Prius, now they're all into Tesla, but in their garage they got 2 Ferraris.
And these are the people that I want to have in my cults. Because, like my daddy Osho say, I want to have 90 Rolls Royces and many Western bitches to play with my penis.
Or they got a big SUV, okay? This is when they go to the office, when they go to social gatherings, they want to be seen in an electric car. When they go out with the family, they want to ram a 6-cylinder car, all right? So I'm saying you cannot curtail human aspirations. The best thing is to curtail human populations. At the beginning of 20th century, we were 1.6 billion people. Today, we are 7.2 billion people. In India, in 1947, we were 33 million people. Today, we are 1.2 or 1.25 billion people. So, 3 times, 4 times we've multiplied. We are nice, but we're too many. We need to understand this. There is only…
Dummies in the… Yes, we are so elite. We are so superior. There are too many. There are too many. We are good, but we are too many. Babies are good, but they are too many. If we really want to help poor Greta to get her future back, we make giant human corpse raft out of all the babies, and Queen Greta float across the ocean, and she will go medal in the elections in Europe after traveling on a giant human baby corpse rafts.
That much human life that the planet can sustain. And above all, because of technological prowess that we have today, we are consuming probably what 10,000 men would consume 1,000 years ago. One man, I'm saying. One human being is consuming what 10,000 human beings would consume 1,000 years ago. So when this is the case, the simplest thing…
One man… Listen to the numbers these people throw out too. One man is going to consume what 10,000 people would consume before. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? You have festivals where people fucking worship at your feet, or like hundreds of thousands of people at these festivals just worshiping you as you dance around and play music. You're talking about using too many resources. Get out of here. You know, it's funny because these guys, they'll push this nonsense. Like, I was watching this Osho clip. It's unfortunate, but I can't. I had to substitute Sadhguru because you cannot play Osho videos because Osho internationals have so much copyright fuckery, and they are very, very powerful groups. The Osho International, but Osho say, in the past, a woman have 10 babies, and only 1 out of 10 babies survive. They just make these numbers up, right? Sadhguru, I heard another one say, oh, women used to only have like 6 kids and only 1 of them would survive. These nonsense figures that they throw out there, which are just completely made up.
We must project or plan for a less population in the future. But right now, United Nations predicts that by 2050, we will be 9.6 billion people. By 2075, we'll be 12.1 billion people.
There are too many people.
I want you to just imagine your life on this planet. You and me may not be here, but if this projection becomes a reality, our children and their children do what you want, they cannot live well. But anyway, if we do not consciously control this, nature will do it to us in a cruel way. It's not that we will be allowed to simply spawn like this. Something will happen, all right? Something will happen that we don't know how to handle, and cruel ways of things will happen. But the very pride of being human is, we can do what we want consciously. It is something we need to take up. Every world leader has to take this up. The leadership on the planet, in this Paris meetings of going on talking about how much will you consume, how much will I consume, what do you have to do, why don't we say by 2050, we will be 4 billion, not 9.6 billion? Why not?
That's so beautiful. Wow. Oh.
All you have to do is, sir, that
all you have to do is we kill off half the people, and then we will be so happy, and there will be so many resources for me. Alright, got some super chats here. Thanks for the super chats, guys. What up? Chase! Chase sends $2. What's up, Chase? Says, I love you. I love you, Chase. Alright. We got Mo, $5, says, you should check out Dr. Greger's recent tweets about keto diets from the 7th when you get a chance. Calling the kettle black. Yeah, no, I saw that Greger said that keto diets are nutrient deficient. Nutrient deficient keto diet, right? Oh, a diet that's not vegan is nutrient deficient, says a vegan. A total hypocrisy, right? This dude promotes the most nutrient deficient diet, the most degenerating diet. And he says that you're gonna get a nutrient deficiency from keto. He says you need like, I think you need 30,000 calories to not be nutrient deficient. Just throws these nonsense numbers out there. Much like Sadhgurus. Mr. Sadhguru, him is a very, very good man. Very good man, Sadhguru. Emma Watson's self-partnership shows we're in a golden age of singlehood, says CNN. CNN. Hard-hitting news from CNN. Let's see this clip. Does it work? Is there no clip? I call it being self-partnered. With that simple utterance, Emma Watson launched a flood of tweets, think pieces, and water cooler conversations earlier this week.
There it is, Danny Willett. The comeback is complete.
Alright, this is just an ad. It's not even not an Emma Watson video. I never believed the whole I'm happy single spiel, she said. I was like, this is totally spiel. It took me a long time, but I'm very happy being single. I call it being self-partnered. Gossip columnists immediately bemoaned the actress's self-coined phrase, while supporters on Twitter leapt to her defense. I was delighted by the news, Kate Bullock, author of bestseller Spinster, Making a Life of One's Own, told CNN. When I was Watson's age, there wasn't a public conversation about the really very real benefits of living and being alone. It heartens me to think that young people today are getting this message, and that perhaps society is on the road toward not being obsessed with coupledom. It's just so good. It's so good that people don't want to have real relationships anymore, right? People just need to become best friends with their cell phones, become best friends with the fake AI, and then we'll have this perfect utopia. People will stop breeding. They'll stop having babies. When I was in my 20s, the only cultural examples of single women were fictional, like Carrie Bradshaw and Bridget Jones. Sorry, that thing's flashing like crazy. But as the public's view of relationships changes, celebrities are being given space to reclaim their own narratives. People are already in my panty drawers all the time, the Friends star told The Guardian this week of her record-breaking debut on the platform. I want them out of my panty drawers, but now I can decide which pair to show them. The celebrities, all the celebrities, they just want to be single. We should just have a carefree attitude. They say a carefree attitude to single life isn't found everywhere, though. Uh-oh. There's a bunch of people out there trying to kill your buzz, trying to harsh your mellow and tell you that having actual relationships and families will allow you to be taken care of when you're older age. Right? But if you're single, if you've never had kids, if you've never had a family, if you don't have real relationships, you'll have nobody to take care of you. And the state can euthanize you. Self-partnered Emma Watson is right. We need more ways to be single. Yeah. More ways to be single. What are more ways to be single? What does this even mean? There's just this incredible amount of anxiety, said the Ivy League educated UN ambassador and BAFTA winner, in what some have pointed out as a telling sign of the times. It took me a long time, but I'm very happy being single. I call it being self-partnered. So there you go. Repping the UN again. We love the UN. Move aside, Emma Watson. Here are 5 new ways to be single beyond self-partnered. Oh, yay. Emma Watson. All right. So the ultimate global citizen is single, alone, no family, no kids to teach, no knowledge transmission through the generations. Everybody gets to live in the smart cities. There's just too many of us, right? Like the ants, we're going to have to make life preservers out of babies to save ourselves from climate change. Oh no. Oh no. All right. I got all sorts of content pulled up here, but we got to talk about Beyond Meat. So we're going to go beyond the celebrity degeneracy, and we're going to talk about Beyond Meat. Guess what, guys? Beyond Meat is failing. Beyond Meat stock is plummeting. Beyond Meat butchered, a stock sale ban lifted. Shares of Beyond Meat plunged more than 20% as investors rushed to cash in after a restriction on selling stock lifted and worries mounted about rising costs and increased competition at the hugely popular plant-based meat producer. What do you know? All those millions of dollars that got pumped into Beyond Meat got used for advertisement. Advertisement. Right? For creating the market. Advertising to millennials and dummies who will buy this crap. But now, the stocks are dropping. Beyond Meat stocks drop as investors bail. Some of the original investors in analog meat producer Beyond Meat are rushing for the exits, looking to cash in their stock, which dropped 17% in one day. Original investors who held some 80% of the Beyond Meat stock were restricted from selling within 6 months of the IPO. CNBC reports that as soon as that ban expired on October 29th, many of the original investors cashed in. That rush drove the stock down 17% that day and 63% from its high in late July. Well, there you go, guys. So, who were the initial investors in Beyond Meat? We talked about this in the last couple of years now. We've got Bill Gates. We've got Richard Branson. You've got a lot of these big investment capital firms. You've got a lot of the big ag money. You've got Tyson Foods was one of the first investors. A Wall Street firm lays out a scenario where Beyond Meat could boost its sales 62% by partnering with McDonald's. Rejoice, guys. The free markets are coming back to help. Don't worry, it's too big to fail. Beyond Meat is too big to fail. All right? Beyond Meat basically selling you dog food. Dog food or fake meat. Most can't tell the difference. Because that's what it is. They're selling you dog food. They're selling you straight up dog food. All right, so look at this image. On the left, we've got Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods. And in the third one is dog food. Beyond Meat. Water, pea protein isolate, expeller pressed canola oil, refined coconut oil, rice protein, natural flavors, cocoa butter, mung bean protein, methyl cellulose, potato starch, apple extract, salt, potassium chloride, vinegar, lemon juice concentrate, sunflower lecithin, pomegranate fruit powder, and beet juice extract. Methyl cellulose, that's bamboo, by the way. They're selling you a bunch of indigestible shit and processed crap. Basically the same as the Impossible Burger, pea, sweet potato, pea protein, pea starch, lentils, flaxseed meal, all these isolated parts of it. They say lentils. It's not like there's whole lentils in this. This is just a bunch of processed crap fortified with a bunch of vitamins, which fortified foods we know are very, very low quality and toxic. And then you've got on the right dog food, which looks the same. Water, soy protein concentrate, coconut oil, sunflower oil, natural flavors, potato protein, methyl cellulose, yeast extract, cultured dextrose, food starch, like hemoglobin. Except they fortify the dog food a little bit better than they fortify your kibble. So those are the ingredients of Beyond Meat. Those are the ingredients of Impossible Foods. Next to dog food. And the amount of money that gets put into this, the amount of resources that get put into telling you that this is good, that this is sustainable, that this is great for you, is staggering. Right? You got The Economist magazine, who, of course, they declared 2019 to be the year of the vegan. We predicted that it would be the year of the ex-vegan, which it has been. But the agenda keeps pushing forward. All these vegan YouTubers we see falling off, dropping down like flies. All these vegan YouTubers who we see health and mental health and physical health deteriorating rapidly. All these vegan YouTubers we've seen degenerate over the years. It doesn't matter because so much money gets pumped in by big ag, by big pharma, by the big money interest into this stuff that it doesn't even matter that these people are leaving veganism. It doesn't matter because you can keep shoving it down people's throats. Plant-based meat could create a radically different food chain. A food chain where everything is processed, where everything is rationed kibble. That's what it's all about, guys. Radically different food chain. Meat no longer has to be murder. The Economist magazine. Take a little look at who runs The Economist magazine. What famous family has control of that Economist magazine? We've got the World Economic Forum, Meat, a future series, alternative proteins. Of course, we talked about the World Economic Forum. We read the op-ed piece by Ida Auken earlier about the circular economy, about the sharing economy, meaning the global, you own nothing, all resources are centralized and rationed to you by the state economy. We've got the World Economic Forum talking all about all this stuff, innovation and alternative proteins. This is what the big money interests want. They want total control of the food supply, total control of you, total control of all resources. What's up, Shannon White? What's up, dude? We got another Australian. All the Aussies are coming out. I'm going to have to do some more streams at night so that you awesome Aussies can hang out. It's been nice being able to connect with some of you guys. Usually it's U.S. and European viewers when I do it in the afternoon, my time. So I'm like GMT -5. I usually do these at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my time. So it's nice to have the Aussies around. Shannon sends $10. Thanks a lot, man. Says, hi, Tristan. Bought your carnivore cookbook. Love it. Your videos have helped me see through the vegan agenda. Cheers, mate. Shannon, much appreciated, man. Glad you enjoy the book. Thank you for reminding me. I got to plug it. You guys want to support the channel here? Your super chats are appreciated. Your donations via PayPal always appreciated. But also, we do offer stuff, man. We got the carnivore cookbook for people who really love animals. The carnivore cookbook available at primaledgehealth.com. All animal foods for people who really love animals. We got a whole section on how to make nose to tail foods. That's one of my favorite sections. Like some of my favorite recipes are from the nose to tail section. But you know, there's a fish and seafood section. Got here. Come over here to the. All right, table of contents. We got fat and sauces. Got the eggs section, which has a lot of baked type stuff. Poultry and pork, fish and seafood, muscle meats, raw meat, organs, and odd bits. What we say, raw meats, organs, and bones. So this book available at primaledgehealth.com. Crucial reading. Really awesome book. Take back your kitchen. Take back your health. Take back your culture. Great book. Check that out. primaledgehealth.com. Also, announcement. We're starting the next Keto and Carnivore Collective next week. I think it's next Monday. So you've got about 5 days to sign up for the next Keto and Carnivore Collective. That is our group coaching. We do it once a month, usually once a month. Sometimes we do take a month off. Sometimes we skip a month or two. I see in the screen over here, I see ribeyes behind me now, sleeping on the couch. But we're doing our next Keto and Carnivore Collective group coaching. I still do private consultations, but I really prefer that people go towards the group coaching because you get more content, more interaction, and you get to support each other. We have a private forum. You can tune into the live chats we do twice weekly. One of them is a lesson with a Q&A at the end. The other one is a Q&A. So 2 meetings per week, live voice chat. You can tune in from anywhere via mobile device. You can join us. So join the next Keto and Carnivore Collective. If you're looking for coaching and you just want private coaching, consider the Keto and Carnivore Collective. It's a better way to go about it, in my opinion. And you get to network with people, and we have a community-based setting that we do it in, which is really fun. So Keto and Carnivore Collective, helping you to create a solid foundation of nutritional and lifestyle habits. We're starting that next one next week, I think on the 17th. So hit us up, guys. Thank you for the reminder, dude. Thank you for the super chat. Look at this. Look at all these people. What's going on here in the chat? What's happening, everybody? What's happening, guys? All right, let's go back to this. All right, we're not going to read this whole document. We're not going to read this whole thing, but I think this white paper from the World Economic Forum, the Future series, Alternative Proteins, very, very interesting read. Very, very telling on where this stuff is all going. And of course, the World Economic Forum, the Davos elite, want this plant-based diet system. Here's how we can rethink the way we eat meat. World Economic Forum, talking about PETA, says it takes less land to feed people on a plant-based diet. So let's let PETA redistribute all our land, right? Let's let PETA collectivize our land and tell us how we can use our land. This is the World Economic Forum telling us this shit. World Economic Forum says plant-based alternative meat could save lives. Wow, the big banks, the big corporations say that the meat, the fake meat, is going to save so many lives. They're just so woke at the big banks, so woke at the World Economic Forum. They're going to help us all to eat plant-based kibble. Thank you so much, World Economic Forum. So Beyond Meat failing, right? Stock is plummeting. But does it really matter? Does it really matter? Original investors are dropping out. 63% down from its high in late July. Right? Analysts said the decline in the stock's price were largely driven by anticipation that shareholders would seek to lock in their spectacular gains. The stock's peak was a 411% increase over its opening price of $46. Among those selling off stock were General Mills, who owned 164,000 shares. However, Former and current board members with large stakes told CNBC they would hold on to their shares. So they're pumping and dumping this shit. This is just big money laundering operations anyways, right? What a joke. So Beyond Meat stock is dropping. But guess what? McDonald's coming to the rescue. A partnership with McDonald's could add roughly $168 million to Beyond Meat's sales. McDonald's is going to come to the rescue, guys. But guess who else is going to come to the rescue? 40% in a month. 22% drop in a day. Can it rebound? Beyond Burger coming to U.S. Air Force bases as military enlists these healthy food options with millennials in mind. So hey, millennials, you want to save the world and be super healthy? Join the Air Force and you get to eat plant-based kibble from Beyond Meat. The Air Force is aiming for healthier fast food options at its military bases. This is what they want to feed the military now. Who arranged this deal? Who knows? Who knows who arranged this deal? But this sounds like some fuckery to me. Air Force bases will also get a Salad Works, a Pennsylvania-based franchise that makes made-to-order salads, wraps, soups, and sandwiches. So they're going to be buying up Beyond Meat. Your tax dollars and my tax dollars. I don't even live in the U.S. I haven't lived in the U.S. for a decade. I haven't lived in the U.S. for over a decade now. I still pay taxes. About 30% of the money we make that could be going to building up our homestead, to getting animals so that we could produce more food, so that we can serve our community, good foods. We could be doing that with our money, but instead we get to pay it to the U.S. government, who gets to buy Beyond Burgers with it. Fucking insane, right? Frank is Queeking. What's up, dude? New Zealand says, $10 says, please save the chat from the boring vegan troll. We got a boring... See, I can't pay attention to the chat all the time. I saw Durian Rider leaving 100 comments earlier, so I put him on timeout. So he's on timeout. Where's the boring vegan troll? I don't see it. I'll get rid of the boring vegan troll just because you sent $10. This is a... You just put out a hit on the boring vegan troll. And I accept that New Zealand $10, and I will prosecute with extreme prejudice this vegan troll. All right, Kinderly Adams was she's in the current Keto Collective, Keto and Carnivore Collective. Actually, we just did our last meeting on Thursday, so it's ending. The Keto Collective for this month is just ending. Kinderly was in it. Thanks for joining us, Kinderly. It was really nice having you. Thank you for the positive review. Really appreciated you being around. You guys make sure to check out the Keto and Carnivore Collective. There will be a link in the description of this video. If there's not a direct link right now, just click on the coaching section in our website and you'll see more information about the Keto and Carnivore Collective. And I do not see the boring vegan troll. Someone tell me his name. I don't know. I don't see which one's the vegan troll. I'll keep my eyes open. If someone wants to send another super chat, you just give me a list of names you want me to ban. I'll ban them all. Someone says Lisa. Let's find Lisa. Lisa is the boring vegan troll. I don't even see Lisa. Oh, okay, yeah. She's complaining about people eating meat. Meat is murder. Rhetoric going on. All right. There you go, guys. R.I.P. Lisa. You're done. Vegan troll next. So, why is my tax money going to buying Beyond Burgers for the military? Why is our tax money going to this? Why do I have to pay taxes even though I don't even live in America for 10 years? I haven't set foot in America since 2011. 2011 is the last time I visited the States. I haven't lived there in 10 years. I still pay not most of my money, but a lot of my money still goes to taxes in the U.S., and they're buying Beyond Burgers to poison the troops with it. This is offensive to me. The U.S. Air Force announces plan to offer Beyond Burgers at military bases. Rejoice. Choose Veg says. what we've attempted to do with this new model is really modernize our food and beverage platform. What a joke, man. What a corporate fucking joke. Just feeding slop to these people. It's so sad. A younger, more socially aware demographic is in service, and the products and services that provide value to previous generations are no longer relevant. No longer relevant. Meat's no longer relevant. Beyond Burger is so lit, bruh. It's so lit. Beyond Meat to be served at schools, hospitals, and baseball stadiums, says Plant-Based News. Plant-Based News, of course, this is owned by Prince Khalid bin al-Walid, one of the richest men in the world, a Saudi prince whose father has been accused of being involved in human trafficking, whose father is a total degenerate, elitist Saudi royal. Right? This Saudi prince who owns Plant-Based News, I just can't get over that. I think it's so funny. And they've kind of removed a few of the articles that talk about this, but this website is owned by a Saudi royal who's heavily invested in the Fourth Industrial Revolution type stuff, heavily invested in all this Fourth Industrial Revolution technocratic agenda stuff. Crazy. Plant-Based News says Beyond Meat will be served at schools, hospitals, and baseball stadiums. Schools. What the hell? Impossible Food and Beyond Meat are coming to campuses, offices, and stadiums. Says Vox. Says Vox. Some of the biggest food providers in the U.S. are companies you've never heard of. Oh, I wonder why you've never heard of those companies. Because those companies don't want you to know about them. That's why. They don't want you to know they exist. Frankish Queeking says another $10, thanking me for getting rid of the vegan trolls. Yeah, you guys just let me know. Let me know if there's any more, chat detractors. I try to, let people go for a little bit, but if they're just gonna try and completely hijack the whole chat, then they get the zing. They get the nicks. All right. So Beyond Meat failing, but is it too big to fail? We're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens with the Beyond Meat stock in the coming months. I predict that it's going to continue dropping, but there's going to be other producers who start making these plant-based burgers. And what they're doing with all this money is they're basically trying to create false demand. They're trying to generate demand. They're manufacturing consent from you. Manufacturing consent from people who are going to be told that this is healthy, that this is sustainable, and that it's better to eat these foods than to eat real animal foods. Obviously, we think this is nonsense, right? Obviously, we think this is complete bullshit. But that's what it's all about. It's about the consolidation of resources. Ultimately, it's about depopulation, population control, and the people who are running this are a bunch of just really, really good people, right? Like our buddy Jeffrey Epstein, R.I.P. Epstein. I'll show the shirt again. My blingest shirt, right? The shirt. Legit, the shirt sold. Somebody sold one of these for $750. I didn't pay $750. I got it. It's an original, so you guys can make bids on my bling shirt. But Epstein, close friends with Bill Gates. Epstein, close friends with Prince Andrew, whose father, Prince Philip, BFF with David Attenborough, says that humans are a scourge on the earth and need to be eliminated. And that's what it's about. That is what it's all about. It's not about creating a great utopia. It's about technocratic control of resources. All right, so, yeah. Beyond Meat, too big to fail. But it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Who the hell is buying this Beyond Meat stuff? Who the hell is buying all this nonsense? Who the hell believes that Prince Andrew, Prince Philip, Bill Gates actually want to save the planet? I have no idea. I have no idea who really believes this stuff. I don't know who buys into this stuff, but apparently plenty of people do. Some people in the chat right now. Triggered up. People in the chat right now triggered. All right, but all these people, all these like big tech guys that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, what do you think's going on there? Why is Epstein telling Bill Gates why is Epstein telling Bill Gates to give millions of dollars to MIT's Media Lab? Why is Bill Gates flying on Epstein's jet? Why are all these politicians involved in this weird blackmail pedophilia stuff? Why are all these royals involved in this as well? Why was Jimmy Savile protected by BBC for decades? Why is Jimmy Savile, why was he knighted? What's going on here, guys? It's almost like the people that run the world are a bunch of satanic pedo degenerates. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I have so many things still pulled up here, but I'm gonna save these for a future stream. We got plenty of stuff to hit on in another stream. I've got the BBC. This is one we're gonna have to hit on next time. So the next stream, I thought about doing a stream just on the Game Changers, which that's still going to come, but I'll probably do that in a couple weeks. Maybe I'll sync it up with some other stuff that's about to drop soon concerning the Game Changers. So we're going to do a Game Changer stream later on down the line. But we've got Could We Control Human Overpopulation by BBC Earth Lab. We've got to do a review of this video. This one is really, really very subversive. We've got this video, John and Leo Venus, the Penis brothers, are carnivores crazy? So John and Leo Venus debunking carnivore. We're gonna do that one really soon too, really funny one. And of course, we've got more vegan parents malnourishing their kids. But we've got all sorts of stuff coming up in future streams. I don't know about tomorrow. I was thinking about doing a stream tomorrow for US and Europe about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but I've got a friend's birthday party that I might be attending. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow. Maybe on Wednesday I'll hit up another stream. But we got lots more to come, guys. Check out the Keto and Carnivore Collective. Link in the description down below. Carnivore Cookbook for people who really love animals. You can get this exclusively at primaledgehealth.com. I want to thank everybody for supporting the work we do here. And I want to thank everybody for listening to me talking about why we all need to sterilize ourselves and give all of our bitches and money and resources to the gurus like Sadhguru and Osho and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development and the UN. We must give all our resources to these people so that we can live a happy life. Happy life. We must all give all resources to our gurus like Sadhguru, and we must all get sustainable, healthy vasectomy and eat vegan kibble in smart city to save the planet. Bye-bye.
Raise the sense of urgency around climate change.
What ups, Reflections? I am not a bigot. I am ready to save the planet by doing exactly what the big banks tell the TV screens to tell us to do. I feel so empowered on my #vegan journey. Join us as we chant empty slogans for #climate action written by PR firms. We need to save the earth and demand a global totalitarian technocratic government run by big finance and the Fortune 100. Our house is on fire and we need the nice grown-up government to take everyone's land and resources and ration us delicious, sustainable, nutrient-fortified vegan kibble. This is an emergency. Mommy Earth is crying so sad because she wants the mean grown-ups to give poor little 16-year-old human shield Greta her future back.
Do you have anything to add to these debates about just in particular the idea that it's kind of too expensive to deal with climate change?
I mean, the money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean,
Jeffrey Epstein committed suicides and was working alone. Veganism is desirable and fun and make me smile big happy on my insides. I do not hate children. I am not a science denier. I do like science. To fix the hashtag climate crisis, we need to sterilize ourselves, starve ourselves, eat babies and grandma, and move to a social engineered hashtag smart city to save the earth. There is no time to examine the inconsistencies in our claims or actions, or the billions of dollars being leveraged to brainwash us into thinking we want this. We want hashtag climate action now and a hashtag plant-based food system of sustainable fortified kibble. We are not being used. We are truly empowered and full of energy that we are using constructively. We are so empowered and not deceived.
We all share the same values, so we just need to align those values with our actions and join forces. We all want the same thing. We want to see an Earth in the next 50 years.
The money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean,